I think the anticipation here is probably that I don't know, I'm going to pound the desk and freak out. I can't do that right now. I don't have it in me in the sense that what we're watching here is it's almost. I ran into a bunch of people this weekend. It was a a weekend that was, other than Florida State's Friday night, rather enjoyable. Tom and I and my family, we went over to the JJ Gray concert at Cascades. It was perfect weather for it. Ran into a bunch of people. I watched a ton of football. I obviously had to sit back yesterday, watch a ton of football. And, the more I thought about what's happening here, and, tonight we get the Monday night game, obviously with the Bucks and the Ravens, a huge game, fun game, great game. I'm decked out for the game. But, and I watch the baseball playoffs, all these things. The more I think about it, it's like I almost begin the show by apologizing, not to the fans for this Florida State product. I'm not responsible for that. Mike is, and I'm sure, if he could, he'd individually apologize to every one of you. He should, anyhow. He should. He should do that right after firing every single coach on his staff. And that's only because he can't fire himself. Because at this point, I think what he's done is a fireable offense. But I almost want to apologize that this week is ruined. This week. The season was already ruined before Friday night. But for how long Florida State fans and Miami fans have been going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I'm reminded of the fact that in rivalries, as much as you despise the other program, or if it's a professional rivalry, the other team, the other franchise, you're saddled with the knowledge that you need the other team because there wouldn't be a rivalry if they didn't exist. These two teams have played 68 times. It's 35-33. I mean, that's how this has been a war with Miami forever. And I am responsible as a media type, and I guess not a spokesman for Florida State, but somebody who speaks about Florida State and in a public forum in a setting like this, with a mic and a bully pulpit, if you will, as some describe it. I'm responsible for some of the most vitriolic, trash-talking moments on behalf of Florida State towards Miami ever. And I've been on the receiving end of as nasty and vitriolic trash talk from them as one could ever receive. And back and forth we've gone. And there's always been a hint of, we wouldn't want it any other way. Oddly, you think about it just again in terms of you need your rival to exist. You need your rival to be what they've always been for there to be a rivalry. And that is gone this year. Florida State didn't live up to their end of the bargain, not even a little bit. Like, if you showed a measure of competence, if you showed any semblance of a healthy program that you were taking to the party, then we could go ahead and go back and forth with this idea of, yeah, one team's well ahead of the other, but F you anyhow. Let's go. Let's see. Any given Saturday. But it's not any given Saturday. We've got zero chance to beat Miami. I'm not sure we're going to beat Charleston Southern. Isn't that who we play later on this year? I'm not sure. I'm not sure we're going to beat them. Florida's going to hammer us. We're not a program. This is a putrid, completely inept, beyond embarrassing representation of Florida State football. It's not worth their time. And it's certainly not within us to have the Florida State-Miami conversation that we always have. I mean, there have been a few times in this great rivalry where one or both in some cases of the programs aren't anywhere close to being competitive. You know, we've been there, right? We've been on the wrong side of that, and we've seen them when they were down like that, and 47-0 happens. Florida State just does whatever they want with Miami, and it's funny. But I don't know that it's ever been where it is right now, where one of the parties, and unfortunately for us, it's us. It's this trash that Mike and staff have produced that has left this rivalry bankrupt. There's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to say about Florida State, Miami. There's no measure of, well, if this, maybe that, who knows, fourth quarter. No, you know and I know there ain't nothing. Florida State isn't really even involved. This isn't even a thing, right? It's not even a thing. I never thought I'd take to the airwaves, and this isn't about me. This is a representation of how awful and unprecedented these times are in the modern era of Florida State football, that we would be in a situation like this where you could say, legitimately, I don't have anything for you. You see what we see. You're looking at the same thing. I'm talking to like a Miami fan right now who's like, oh, it's Florida State Miami week. Is it Florida State Miami week? Is there anything there that says that this is a Florida State Miami week other than the date, that it's the schedule, that, there it is. Okay, well, we do play this week. So no, I disagree, Craig. He's going to fire a ton of those coaches. He has no choice. It's not about guts. This is simple and straightforward. This isn't about want or anything else. This is obvious. You got no chance. I mean, he's lucky he's not going to get fired. He's very fortunate that he just got that contract extension and has millions and millions and millions, over 80-something million reasons why he'll be back next year. That's the only reason he'll be back. This is buffoonery. This is embarrassing beyond reason. It doesn't matter that I like Mike. I do. And it doesn't matter that, I think most of this fan base likes Mike. It doesn't really, even those that are in the camp of, well, let's not forget the man won 19 in a row, was 23-3 over a 26-game period. I don't forget that. I know right now a lot of people do, but he actually had success. It wasn't like that he's never had success here. He just got done engineering an ACC championship season, an undefeated regular season. They were, other than getting screwed by the committee, they were going to the college football playoff a year ago. That's why this is unprecedented. This is something that, that TCU team that played for the national title, that next year was bad. But they weren't this bad. They weren't like this. Michigan just won the Invitational, and they're awful. Like, that team's not any good, but they're not like this bad. Like, they're competitive. They're going to go 6-6 or 7-5. This is non-competitive. This is not. There's no semblance of the team that was here a year ago, and it's not just because certainly that they lost a ton of talent. They did lose a ton of talent, and even the most optimistic amongst us thought, okay, it's entirely possible that they could have a good year, and a really good year being 10-2 with all of the changes and all of the loss of personnel, NFL personnel. You thought in your mind, I don't know, 9-3, maybe if DJ plays well and they can run the ball, they could go 10-2. Yeah, we were that kind of optimistic. We thought they could be a good team, and we even said preseason that if they went 10-2, that might be good enough to get to the ACC championship game again, and you might be able to defend your title. And, of course, if you win the ACC, you're in the playoff. So that was kind of the recipe for a good year, which is conceding that you're losing a ton of top-tier talent, and therefore you're going to take a step back. But there was nobody not the head coach, not any analyst, not anybody from the media, not anybody on that team, not anybody anywhere that Florida State thought that Florida State would be this kind of jumbled, broken, incomprehensibly bad, unprecedented nightmare that we witness every time they take the field. And now it manifests itself in ways that reek of an operational and systemic cluster, you know what. Like, even the head coach is doing things now where you're going, what are you doing? I mean, that timeout before the punt because you got 10 men on the field, I mean, that is like a high school coach thing that you see sometimes where you're like, oh, the high school coach panicked. He hasn't been coaching very long, and he understands that losing 5 yards when you're going to punt anyhow is not very valuable. It doesn't really matter. That's especially true if you have a really good punter, and they might have the best in the country. So you eat the 5 yards and you keep the timeout because that really matters. Like, we're seeing dumb stuff like that now, in-game decisions by the head coach that he never revealed in the past. You could be upset with his very aggressive fourth down math. You could argue those were debatable points in games that you could say, well, statistically, you know, that says that maybe you should have gone for 2 there. Maybe you should have done this. Maybe you should have done. This is objectively true. It's stupid to call a timeout there. It's just the kind of thing that a bad, terrible coach does. It doesn't. It's the stuff when you see it, you're like, what are we doing here? And that's like one of many things over the last few games where you could go, what are you doing, Mike? So it's clearly now you see it. It's just the whole operation is completely gutted of sort of a through line of common sense and standard that you assume you're going to meet each Saturday, in this case Friday, that, each Saturday, at least the basics will be taken care of. We won't have to worry about that. Is this a matter of whether or not I have enough talent here, and here to win this game? And how do I use that talent? How do I put that talent in the best position to succeed? So let's see what the game plan is. Let's see what they figured out that week. Like, you can't have those conversations because we're just a jumbled mess of ass. Just everywhere you look, ass. I never thought I'd see this. We've seen bad teams. The end of the Jimbo era was a nightmare because the stuff behind the scenes, I can just tell you all, that building was toxic. The people that entered into the Moore Athletic Center every day didn't want to be there, didn't want to work around him and be around him anymore. He had fallen to pieces in his personal life, and he was emotionally unstable. Up and down, up and down. You never knew if you were going to get a, how you doing, buddy, engaged, interesting conversation, or your head ripped off for something inane. And you could feel it when you walked into the building. You'd walk in and you'd be like, oh, this isn't good, man. Everybody's walking on eggshells, scared to death, angry, sad, worried about their job. This is bad. The Willie Taggart thing, when that played out, everybody was optimistic because he was a really likable guy. Willie was likable, simply put. Like, you could talk with him. I talked with him many times. You were like, affable dude. Nice guy. Subdued. But then you watched practices, and then the games played out, and you're like, oh, man, they're not, this isn't good. It's a little disorganized. I don't think he's hired the right people around him. I don't know if he's prepared for what this is. This is Florida State, man. Come on. And then it just kind of spiraled, and you realize the organizational structure and sort of the nuts and bolts of what has to be in place for you to take advantage of whatever skill set you have as a coach, be that as a strategist, as an X's and O's guy, or a recruiter, or whatever it might be. It was never going to get off the ground. And so then you were just sad because you thought, oh, man, they whiffed. They whiffed. Oh, man, that sets us back even further. I mean, you thought getting out from under Jimbo, it couldn't be worse and we're going to be okay. And you know what? If they win enough games that he has an advantage in recruiting within the state, it's going to work out. And it didn't. And you knew it. And you thought, oh, man, we're counting down the days. We're counting down to the days. Like, I don't know which loss it's going to be, but when it happens, they're going to end up pulling the trigger. It turned out it was kind of the new norm because you've seen it elsewhere now. It's happened. Even within that year, it's happened that programs don't wait to pull the trigger like they used to. Remember back in the day, you'd get 4 years, maybe 5. Then it got shortened to 3. People got less patient, a lot of money. Okay, I can't keep doing this. Writing's on the wall. I'll fire your ass after 3. Well, with Willie and others, it became 2. It was like, oh, okay, we're done here. And none of those times of which I speak and just described feel as empty and sad as this one does. And there was no precursor. There was nothing that said you could go from winning 19 straight to being one of the worst 5 to 10 teams in all of Division I football. Like there was nothing that suggested that. Again, you can say, well, the media got it wrong. Fine, we did. I did. Here, you want to hear that? I did. But is Nick Saban clueless? Are the NFL scouts that go to those practices that we've talked to and seen there day in and day out clueless? Is the guy that won 19 straight games as your head coach completely clueless? There was nothing that said this was coming. This could happen. You're left absolutely gutted, as I said before. Gutted. There's nothing more to talk about. This game doesn't even matter. Florida State, Miami has to matter. Always has to matter. And it doesn't. It's a blip on the radar. It's just what's next on the schedule. It's not a competitive game. Miami gets to kind of rest up after playing 3 straight really close games, revealing that their defense is terrible and that it's a damn good thing they've got a great offense because of their quarterback and their offensive line. So they're just trying to figure out how long can we stay undefeated and make sure that we get to the ACC championship game, and what can we do to piecemeal together some sort of defense. They're not like considering Florida State. They're not this week. Miami's not going, well, we got to make sure we do this. No, you just got to be there on time. You just have to show up, put some shoes on, put on your pads and your helmet, and just kind of be there. Because Florida State's not beating you. They can't block you. They can't block anybody. They can't block anybody. The rest doesn't matter. When you watch, we're all going to do the thing, and I understand why you will, where you look at the young quarterbacks. I'm doing it too. I'm going to watch Brock very closely. Obviously, Luke, we're going to watch very closely because we're presuming that one of those two, if not both, will be back next year. And it seems likely one of them is going to be your starter next year. I don't know which quarterback in the portal you'd go get, but if you did, they're both gone. So I would guess one, if not both, are back next year. I actually think they both have some talent, some things to work with, but it's kind of rendered moot because the offensive line can't block, and all of these receivers that they continue to run out there, like, why would Benson ever play again? Why would you even put him out there again? Why do you keep running plays for Portier? Like, just let's go. Rip the Band-Aid off with the young kids, and who cares? You're going to lose because you can't block. But at least you've incorporated the quarterback's legs now, and so you've got some semblance of an engineered rushing attack. At least you did against Duke on Friday. And it probably stands to reason that you can muster that sort of baseline rushing attack that comes with changing the math because of your quarterback. Like, you can do that. That's what I was screaming about when Tom and I did the pregame and we're talking about this matchup was, look, even really bad teams who struggle to rush the football can scheme up some semblance of a running game because they'll just run the quarterback. That changes the math, and you're going to give up some plays as a defense when it's 11 on 11. So at least we finally did that. After weeks and weeks and weeks of not doing that, they did that. But it's not a consolation. Like, that doesn't do anything for you. That doesn't do anything for me. We're all just left in shock by this dumpster fire of a season that nobody saw coming. A step back? Sure. Unmitigated failure and incompetence? Like, around every turn? Didn't see it coming. And now it's left us, you're busy watching a lot of other teams play football because you can't bear anymore to really lock in on your Noles. The totality of the season is what I'm talking about with being in shock and being dismayed beyond reason. It's not that in the progression of disappointments, we somehow lost to Duke on Friday night. No. And by the way, that Duke team is not good. I don't care that they're 6-1. They're not. You saw them. Florida State held that team to 181, 180 yards, 3 yards per play. That's remarkable that you lose a game like that. But if you turn it over 3 straight plays, and 4 times total, and you give up a pick 6, well, that's how you lose a game to a team you shouldn't lose to for the first time in program history. Though the what's left is counting down the days and figuring out how many coaches he'll fire. How many coaches will he be replacing at the end of this season? Will any be replaced before the end of the season? Happened all around college football over the weekend. Did you see that? It's starting. Oklahoma, for example, fired their offensive coordinator. They're completely inept on offense. They've been riddled by injury, too, on that side of the ball, but they weren't good when those guys were healthy, so they fired their OC this week. East Carolina fired their head coach. Middle of the season. These are the kinds of things that happen in the NFL, but for a long, long time never happened in college. So the season of unprecedented and shocking moments and things that leave you kind of, that's new, conversation starters we're in the midst of it. So who knows? Maybe he will. Maybe he'll let some people go. Maybe he'll consider that he has to send a message. I don't know. And does it make a difference? Because what's left now is trying to figure out what, if any, can you hold, of this recruiting class can you hold on to? And who can you convince to come here? Does that mean that you have to make these decisions now in season? Because the games don't matter. You've rendered the games meaningless, save for eval with your quarterbacks. And even then, is it really even a fair evaluation? Because the offensive line can't block and these receivers can't catch. When you're up 3-0, if Vincent catches the one pass and you go down and score and you go up 10-0, the game is over. You're going to win. But they don't. They don't catch the ball. I didn't think we'd get to a place where Florida State, Miami, name only. Florida State, Miami week, name only. There's nobody here that has anything left to give for this rivalry game. This week, which is one of the great weeks in college football for Noles and Canes, just like when it's Noles and Gators. This is a week every year, every season we circle and we go, man, rivalry, braggadocio, smack talk for the year is on the line right here. Thanksgiving, Christmas, family get-togethers. This game is a centerpiece. This game. I dare say if you've got a Cane in your family, they're not saying anything to you this week. They're like, oof, guys, we could score 80 against you? Maybe. if the defense quits because the offense goes 3 and out repeatedly, let's say, maybe. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
I'm Robert, and I'm a general pest technician at Paul's Termite and Pest Control. I have a fantastic job working for an amazing company. Every day, I take great satisfaction in knowing the work I do helps protect the health of the customers I'm honored to serve and their pets too. Many are now my friends. Paul's is a local North Florida-based company, and they are constantly teaching all of us techs about the ever-changing needs of our unique part of the world.
I'm Jay, and having the privilege to work with people like Robert and all of our employees is truly an honor. There is no doubt that the staff of Paul's Termite and Pest Control is the best in our industry. All of our people are local, and local really does mean something. We're North Floridians. Our kids go to school here. We shop here. We build relationships here, and we honor our commitments. To all of our customers, thanks for trusting us to protect your family, pets, and home.
For the elimination of termites, any other pests, and a greener lawn too, call Paul's. We'll get them all.
This announcement is brought to you by Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey.
If you're driving right now, you should know there's an 80% chance that the cars all around you don't carry any bodily injury insurance. Most people don't realize it, but in Florida, all the law requires is that drivers carry property damage insurance. This means that the texting teen drifting over into your lane or the drag racer on your rear bumper have no way of compensating you or your loved ones when they cause a crash. And this should scare the hell out of you. Fortunately, there's an easy way to protect your family from this, and it's called uninsured motorist coverage. It's an absolute must, but a lot of insurance companies are convincing folks to drop it just to save a few dollars. Take it from the personal injury experts. Don't. At Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey, we've recovered millions of dollars in uninsured motorist coverage in crashes where our clients would have otherwise received nothing. So please, call your agent right now and make sure you have uninsured motorist coverage on your policy. We hope you'll never need it, but we'll be here for you if you ever do. Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey. Don't settle for less.
Pinch a Penny Pools has the largest selection of premium hot springs hot tubs in the city. You might even call it Tallahassee's hot tub hub. 12,000 square feet of hot tubs with over 50 of them on site. Over 20,000 gallons of tub capacity to choose from. That's 4,620,000 cubic inches of hot tubs. But I digress. So why should you own a hot tub from Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas, you might ask? Well, I'll tell you. Number one, health benefits, of course. The healing powers of soaking in a hot bubbling pool of water go back centuries. Google it. Number two, Pinch a Penny has hot tubs with technology called Freshwater IQ. It gives you real-time chemical readings and tells you exactly what to add to keep the water at peak perfection. With automated analysis to help you control the chlorine and pH. It's hot tubs for dummies. Sign me up. Number three, they have the best prices, of course. Plus you get a free accessory and no interest financing. Easy peasy. But if you don't want to take my word for it, check them out yourself. Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas. Locally owned, locally operated, and the easiest way to find relaxation at home.
Tonight, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens swoop into Tampa Bay to take on Baker Mayfield and the Bucs in an epic primetime showdown.
Robin Baker throws a sideline route. It is caught ball. Mike Evans for the guy draped all over him. Touchdown Tampa Bay. Fire the cannons. Get him going.
You won't want to miss a second of this one.
What a remarkable catch by Evans with a defender all over him.
Pre-game at 7, kickoff at 8:15. Right here on the Buccaneers Radio Network.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Bake Man writes, Jeff, bring back the watch along so we can witness you and Tom fall subject to the whims of emotion with the rest of us. I appreciate that. Tom, I understand the nature of our gig, and it kind of is a little bit different than the week-to-week average going to games, rooting, and all that stuff. Like, we're both Noles, but at the same time, I know we watch games with the show in mind. and the understanding, like you have to do a post-game show immediately after. So you're looking for things that maybe stand out that you can talk about, you and Gene, and you can answer questions. You're looking back at it with that fine-tooth comb. I do the same thing knowing that, okay, we're going to have to come in here and talk on Monday, and there's some things that maybe are separate from the play itself, like meaning the scheme or why something worked or didn't work, but rather something that might big picture be talked about on a program like this. I don't get this season. I haven't in a long time. Like I think post Boston College, I've kind of understood that they are dysfunctional and that they weren't going to block anybody. I was mad off the bye with the Memphis game. That was ridiculous. But I don't know that I've been mad anymore. I've been sad. I've been really sad. It is sad to see this. I don't mean sad as in I'm crying or losing sleep over it. But I am sad for Florida State football. I'm sad that this is what this program is right now. It is stunning that this is the place we find ourselves in. And when I watch the dysfunction play out, we've always said, and I've talked about this for years on the show, wins and losses happen for a reason, and those reasons usually elicit an emotion. But I think that's within the guidelines of a normal season. That is true of a normal year, where either expectations aren't met, you fall just a notch below, or you exceed expectations. That's kind of how seasons are viewed, right? You came into a season, you thought maybe you'd win 6 games and you win 8. It's a good season. Still lost 4, but you exceeded expectations, so you have a conversation that sounds very different than if you had gone 5-7 or 4-8, and you didn't meet those expectations. And we know the extremes vary based on how high or low expectations are. This is such an outlier in such an insane season that it doesn't fall within those parameters to elicit that kind of an emotion. This is a flat, what is it you say you do here kind of season.
Yeah, I'd say as I watch the game, I typically I'm looking for data as we go, because to me, the post-game show sometimes gets emotional, sometimes, but mostly it's to elevate everybody else's voice and let them have their say, whether it's in the chat, whether it's on the phones. Like, yeah, Gene and I will express our pleasure with 19 in a row or our disgust with whatever we just watched. Sometimes it gets a little heated, but I will say what's made me most angry this year so often, is there's usually something you can discuss. Like there is something that is worth discussing. And we're running out of things to talk about. I guess Luke's performance on Friday was something to discuss for a little bit, or Brock, but I mean, you're out of serious things to talk about. It's gotten so absurd. Like, this is an absurd season. It makes little to no sense. And to try and start the conversation, if you were really going to have the conversation about all that's gone wrong, how long would it take? 10 hours?
Yeah.
I mean, because it's just such a mess. And what I find interesting is as it gets worse and worse, where do the fan base's heads go? And when you lose a little bit, it's a position coach or a coordinator. When you lose a little bit more, it's the head coach. When you continually lose, now they're going up the chain. And people are asking about Alford. People are asking about the athletic department. I mean, the university establishment itself. The more we lose, the higher the ire goes, the higher it climbs. And so now what we had a bunch of on Friday, in addition to, hollering, screaming, and complaining, rightly so, was, hey, where's the athletic director in all this? What was their role? Are they to blame for the situation that we're in? And keep losing. And I'm sure people be coming for McCullough next week, but that's where this thing is going right now, is just to an absurd place where you're not talking about third down and red zone. You're talking about the structure of the athletic department as a whole and how they've allowed this systemic failure to occur.
You'd like to know, I think the longing for answers has to do with the inexplicable nature of what we're seeing, because here's the thing. Mike won. Mike won at Memphis, and he won here. This isn't a guy that hasn't won. He's won. He won here last year and the year before. This isn't like, oh, well, we're just not seeing it. He's 4 or 5 years in. Why aren't we seeing it? No. He won. He won a lot. He won 19 in a row. He's coach of the year. To the point where even if you thought he was never going to get the job, he's interviewed at Bama and he's on the short list of coaches to be talked to. Like, this is a guy that within coaching circles is as well respected coming into this season as there is amongst young coaches.
And this is where, I do get a little angry. People are saying, well, I could tell you all the time that this guy wasn't a good coach. It's like, well, I don't remember you saying that. Thank God that we have all these players that are covering for this clown of a head coach when we were winning 19 straight. Because of course you weren't. Of course you weren't. You were celebrating the man, the culture that he created, the culture that he repaired from nothingness.
Correct.
But at the same time, I fully get it. One of the commenters early on Saturday night or Friday night said, keep the same energy you had for Willie. Because can you imagine if Willie went 1-6? And my answer was, I can't, because he didn't. Willie never went 1-6.
No.
So Mike has done things that Willie never
Correct.
did.
I just got done saying this is,
on both ends,
historically, in the modern era, the worst I've ever seen Florida State. That I don't know what other energy there can be had. I'm telling you, this is worse than anything else that we've put out there in the modern era of Florida State football.
By a mile. Because you go back and review the teams we've played to get to 1-6. And then think about how we got to 1-6 against those teams that we had on the schedule, and how many of those losses were competitive, how many of them were home games. This wasn't a year where Memphis was kicking down the door to be, a top 6 team in the country. Sometimes that happens with the group of 5 squad. You say, well, they put it all together. They're dangerous. They're Power 5 caliber. They're power caliber. That's not this Memphis group. Boston College just got smoked by Virginia Tech, but they smoked us. I mean, it's unfathomable. This schedule, this first half, while our opponent records are pretty good, you're watching the results of Boston College and Memphis giving up a billion to Navy, who's a decent team, I'll grant you. What Cal is, what Georgia Tech is.
Well,
I mean, good Lord.
The conversations change when we go through and talk about, like, okay, from here, what is it you have? What don't you have? What has to change? All of those kinds of things. Like, they can't block, Tom. So, I think you would say
Duke was destroying the point of attack early and often.
Yeah, I think you would say that if you have an offensive line coach who has not put a single offensive lineman in 5 years here into the NFL, this group isn't improving, are they? Do they look better? Do they look developed? You had a guy who's been playing college football for 6 effing years regress in the offseason.
In a way, that's worse, for optics, because if it was a new guy, I'd say, we just didn't hit on the kid, but everybody wanted him.
Right.
That's the same dude.
Yes.
In multiple positions.
Yes. And listen, Maurice has gotten worse.
Yep.
So your veteran players got a lot worse, and you're not seeing real development of the other guys. So this seems like a pretty easy answer, but it's not a scapegoat. It's not to say, well, this is all his fault. No, everything falls at the feet of the head coach. This is a conversation with a baseline of understanding that he's not going anywhere, meaning the head coach. So what is he going to do about the massive systemic failures we've seen this year? That's what this conversation goes.
I was wondering, I won't say I was surprised that it didn't, but I was wondering whether there would be some announcements of changes this past weekend. It occurred to me on Saturday,
right.
And
as you heard about changes in college football with coaches being fired and assistants being let go, sure.
So in a second, yes, on that point. But I was out golfing on Saturday. You're right. Like, it was a very enjoyable day. The concert at night, golf during the day. And it occurred to me around the 12th hole hey, man, I better check the wires. We didn't check my emails. We didn't have any dismissals, did we? Because if you recall, the Willie firing happened at 10, 11 in the morning. I remember Aslan caught it.
On a Sunday,
on a Sunday. It was the next day. And it's just a weird time. So I checked to see, hey, anything like that going on? Well, now that you're seeing college football and the coaching market tell you that changes need to occur with a lead time before signing day. This is something you and I have talked a lot about. This year's signing day is early, super early. It's the Wednesday after Florida.
It's too early, yeah.
It's too early. Last year was too late. It was like, near Christmas. This one is the Wednesday after the Florida game. I mean, you're now 1-6. You lost to Duke. Part of me wonders if there isn't a plan here. I expect if we get blown out on Saturday, and you can say when, everybody, whatever, but if we get blown out on Saturday, I expect there to be announcements on Sunday. That's not it. That's common sense speaking. You're 1-7, and then your rival smokes you. I would imagine something has to happen on Sunday. Got to.
Do you think it has to happen because the new norm in college football with the sped up calendar means you have to begin the process now?
Yes, I think these movements, the normalization of these types of announcements, will steer the administration towards asking for change at that point. I'm not saying that we wanted to be trailblazers on this one again, but now that, look, around the country, it's not just small schools. Like you said, Oklahoma's offensive coordinator. Didn't Utah's offensive coordinator resign this weekend?
Was asked to have a good day. Yeah.
Well, I mean, right. Whatever it is.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, man. I'm not saying it's going to happen. This is not Adam Schefter like reporting. I'm just saying, as a dude on the street, reading the tea leaves and watching very clearly what we are. Barring a miracle result on Saturday, if it goes the way we expect, I think on Sunday we're going to have to convene and be ready to go for some kind of change.
My friends at Tried and True Consulting, really quickly, let me tell you about this. This is not me telling you to utilize their services, because you should, and that's true, and normally I do. But we got together with our friends at the Second Harvest of the Big Bend, Tom. It's happening, baby. This is going to be so awesome.
It got the green light?
Got the green light.
Okay.
It's going to take place Thursday, November the 7th from 4:30 to 7:30 at the Barrel Proof Lounge Midtown. That's right there on Thomasville Road, Midtown. You go in there, that's that building that's 2-story right there. Go into the Barrel Proof Lounge Midtown. This is going to be awesome. It is a fundraiser for the Second Harvest of the Big Bend, and there are going to be free drinks for many of you. Well, I say free. You're encouraged to do the right thing. We're trying to obviously help out the Second Harvest of the Big Bend, but there'll be an opportunity with some vendors there to drink different kinds of vodka, maybe some tequila, some different kind of mixed drinks and those kinds of things. And then obviously, if you want to help out Second Harvest of the Big Bend, that'd be great, whether that's food or money or whatever it might be. So I'll tell you more about it as we get going this week, but it's going to take place. Put it on your calendars. This will be a great time, and we could all use a few drinks for a good cause right about now. Maybe more than a few.
Instead of a few drinks because you wanted to avoid a bad cause?
Yeah. It's Thursday, November the 7th. It's Barrel Proof Lounge, Midtown. It's my friends at Tried and True Consulting, along with the friends that we have at Second Harvest of the Big Bend for their benefits. It's going to be a great time. Jeff Cameron, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Ample sunshine expected this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 82. Northeasterly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Clear skies tonight, lows dip down to about 59. Highs around 83 tomorrow. Sunny skies. Dry Wednesday and Thursday under clear skies with highs in the mid-80s. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, it's 75 degrees.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. There he is. Haven't seen this guy since, what was it? Oh, shoot. U2 at the Sphere in Las Vegas, baby.
Hey, how about that, man? Wasn't that fun?
Good show. Good show. Everything about it. Nearly perfect. Nearly perfect.
I had everything I could possibly want.
I wanted one thing, couldn't find it, and I looked everywhere. No Cubans.
What do you mean?
No Cubans.
There was Cubans.
No, I didn't see any Cubans.
Dude,
no.
I'm sure there was Cubans there. I mean,
No. I walked around. There was a moment right before the show. I thought, got to find some Cubans. Nothing.
Dude, there's Cubans. There was Cubans. I'm sure there was Cubans.
In Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas.
No Cubans in Vegas.
There's Cubans in Vegas, man.
Eddie, there were no Cubans.
Chef.
The sandwich. There were no Cuban sandwiches. You're Cuban. Of course I know there were Cubans there.
Oh, the sandwich. Yeah, no, there probably wasn't many there in Vegas.
No Cubans.
No, not yet.
Florida, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Why did the kid jump off the boat? I don't know. Why?
Peer pressure.
Oh, good one, Ned.
Ned isn't funny, but Ned owns a boat, and you don't. So every time Ned tells another one of his unfunny boat puns, you're going to laugh loud and keep on laughing until you get a boat of your own.
A pier where you put a boat.
Yeah, I get it.
And when you do get a boat of your own, make sure you save money by bundling it with your home, auto, or other vehicles with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states.
In business, service is everything. Cintas delivers what you need to better serve your customers. Whether it's freshly laundered work apparel for almost any job imaginable, tested and inspected fire protection systems, first aid and safety supplies, on-site AED training, or mops and restroom products stocked and ready when you need them. Better work days happen together. So visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready.
And get ready for the workday.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Short segment here, but I should note that in anticipation for what will be the court-ordered university payouts to their athletes, Clemson has announced a $150 per semester athletic fee for each student that's enrolled. So FSU will have to follow suit, one would think, and I imagine that's going to go over swimmingly with parents and students everywhere in the midst of watching this basketball program and this football program. Hey, guys, pony up with your broke ass. Give us another bout of your money. we gotta have the means to go 2-10 next year.
It's unbelievable. You have all the money in the world. You can't redirect it from anywhere. You just got to add it on. But it's extremely predictable.
It's not unlike the toll road that's paid for. That toll ain't going away, guys.
Yeah.
Little secret. They don't tear those tolls down, do they?
Because tuition's affordable. You know? They're really doing everything they can as an institution to make sure that they manage their money with responsibility. Sure. Absolutely.
Well, we're going to have to give. I hope ours is more than $150, to be honest with you. And that's said from a dad who's probably going to end up having to pay that for one, if not both, my kids.
Oh, that's true. You know what? Just give us a bookstore credit. Let's move the money around. It's like it creates almost like a booster in the door, network. So you come in. Hey, if you'd rather spend $500, you can get 2 hoodies and a coach's polo and a pennant. They'll give you a pennant.
Oh, I get a pennant?
You could put it on the wall of your dorm room.
How about that?
We're going to charge you $15,000 a semester for that dorm room, but you could put it on the wall in there for free.
I can't believe Florida State Miami week was taken from us. Just stripped from existence.
They've said that a lot over the last 20 years.
I don't know, man. I think they had it within them. Even in the midst of those awful seasons, they could latch on to like a player or a thing that they thought, well, maybe, who knows, maybe just there's nothing here. This is stripped down to bare bones operation. Like, where is it? What is the substantive thing you're grabbing that says maybe? The only thing you can latch onto is how bad Miami's defense has been. And therefore, maybe if it were to be that Civ-like again, who knows? Like, you get to halftime where it's reasonable. But that's only because of a shortcoming that they have. Nothing that you have. Nothing that we have. There's nothing like you're like, let me tell you. Gromenhock's going to throw for 4 bills. I mean, you don't have it.
Really? Who's going to catch it?
Who's going to catch all those passes that he throws? Lord knows the first one he ever threw was a dime. A dime. You know, if I were a coach and any one of my players did what the Duke player did at the end of that play, he'd run for days at the next practice. He would be sick. He ran so much. You get beat, that kid throws a dime. You could have run up there and put it into Portier's hands. any nicer than where that ball was thrown. And he drops it, and the Duke defender stands up and gives the seatbelt lockdown gesture. Just stands up with a straight face. No irony, nothing. Just stands up straight-faced and gives the seatbelt. Bitch, you just got toasted. What are you doing? There's zero chance that kid wouldn't be running right now. And again tomorrow morning. And tomorrow night. What a clown. Sorry. Not as clownish as the drop in that situation that could change the game. Sure. It's unreal. It is unreal. And those kinds of plays happen a lot. A lot. Third down throw. Benson. Oh, let's just drop that. There's nobody within 20 yards of you. Good call. Good read. Perfect throw.
Punt. Or block field goal, whatever. Bad snap.
Sweet Jesus. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Law degrees from Florida State University. He's a small business owner in Tallahassee who's worked in courts all over Florida. A trial lawyer who works in Leon County Court every day. A husband and father tied to our community. A pro bono award winner with a commitment to giving back. And if elected with your help and your vote, a Leon County judge. Vote Robert Churchill for Leon County Judge, Seat 4.
Paid for and approved by Robert Churchill for Leon County Judge, Seat 4.
Every journey starts with a first step, a daring step. But what they don't say about first steps is that you have to keep going, taking step after step, and eventually you take a big leap, accomplishing more than you ever thought possible. After 57 years, Tallahassee Community College is soaring even higher, and we're now officially Tallahassee State College. We invite you to take a step and visit Tallahassee State College. Learn more at tsc.fl.edu.
Power Mill Training Academy equips motivated athletes focused on baseball and softball with the specific tools to reach their true potential. Now, you'll read that if you go to their website, but I'm here to tell you that, look, whether it's your daughter wanting to play softball, your son wants to play baseball, or maybe they just want to have fun and get the most out of their abilities, and that's where Power Mill comes into play. They've got coaches and camps that teach for every level of play for your son or your daughter. To learn more, go to PowerMillSports.com. We're all going through our own fitness journey. We want to get the most out of our time in the gym or with a trainer. We want to eat the right things and do the right things to be in the best shape possible. Why not find out exactly where you're at in that journey by getting a DEXA scan today? It's the most accurate measurement of all body composition methods. It is the gold standard in what is used in clinical diagnosis, the only method that can determine bone density and give a direct measurement of visceral fat. You can do so and save a bunch of money. That's why I'm here, guys. Use Jeff25 as a discount code for 25% off any of the services at DexaFit. It's not just a DEXA scan. They have red light therapy that helps accelerate wound healing, pain relief, muscle recovery, improve circulation, skin health. They'll also give you tips on personalized nutrition with weight management, fitness optimization. These are all things that you want to do to help correct imbalances. Go see our friends at DexaFit and save right now. Use code Jeff25. Discount code Jeff25 for 25% off any services at DexaFit.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee. Your sports action update on Real Talk 93.3 with all the latest odds from Vegas. Brought to you by Fulmar's Pawn, Gun and Gold. More than you might expect with two great locations in Tallahassee.
The Jaguars with a win over the Patriots 32-16 at Wembley Stadium in London. The Jaguars return to Everbank Stadium this week as 5-point underdogs of the Green Bay Packers, the total 49. Monday Night Football today, Tampa Bay Buccaneers hosting Baltimore as 3.5-point underdogs, a total 50. Another Monday night game, it's the Chargers, a 1-point road favorite at the Arizona Cardinals, the total 44. Saturday in college football, Florida State a 20.5-point road dog of the Miami Hurricanes. It's BYU laying 2 at UCF, 54.5 the total. Cash back for every bet with a GBank signature Visa card. VSIN.com/GBank. Mike Sennett, Real Talk 93.3.
This new dose is nope, that's not it. The price is nowhere to be found.
Mr. Green? Hi, it's all good. We've got this.
This is not just help from a Walgreens pharmacist.
New prescriptions. Cool. Let me check to see if these are the lowest cost options covered by your Medicare plan.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
This is someone supporting you every step of the way. Chat with a pharmacist today to find help saving. This is the human kind of help. Walgreens.
What's better than one win? 3 wins. With Straight Savings, you keep your own phone, get one line for only $25 a month with real unlimited data, and get rewarded with a $200 phone credit after 12 months. It's a win-win-win. Head to Walmart or visit straighttalk.com today. Switch to Straight Talk. Less dollars, more sense. Straight Savings Plan enrollment requires compatible unlocked device and new line of service. Bonus device credit requires 12 months of active service. Offer ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. Taxes and fees apply. For network management practices, see Straight Talk's terms and conditions.
Get excited about your home design with Tallahassee Lighting and Decor, where you can discover an incredible selection of lighting fixtures, exceptional furniture, and unique decor for any style and any home. At Tallahassee Lighting and Decor, you'll get the chance to consult with one of our design representatives to curate the perfect space to fit your home and lifestyle. Visit Tallahassee Lighting and Decor today. Proud sponsor of Patty's Playhouse, Saturdays at 11 a.m. on Real Talk 93.3. Find out more at tallylighting.com. That's tallylighting.com.
Warning. Amendment 4 overturns Florida's parental consent law, so a minor could undergo an abortion without a parent's permission. Doctors can't even prescribe Tylenol without a parent's consent. But with Amendment 4, abortion would become the only medical procedure that can be performed on a minor without a parent's permission. Amendment 4 goes far beyond Roe v. Wade, eliminating reasonable safeguards and forcing taxpayers to fund abortions, even late-term abortions when science says the baby can feel pain. The Amendment 4 campaign is funded by George Soros and his radical allies, the same people trying to strip away parents' rights and push gender ideology in schools are trying to overturn parental consent on abortion. Amendment 4 isn't about freedom. It's about taking power from parents and giving it to radical leftists. Be warned, Amendment 4 is way too extreme and not what it seems. Sponsored by Truth About Amendment 4.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
Florida's capital city. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
devastations, they can feel like existential dread. These are swift running kicks to the boys repeatedly. And it's not as if you don't expect it. Like, I think we're all lined up, hands on our head. Come on, kick them again. We know every Saturday, this past Friday, we know. I'm ready for it again.
Well, it's
because it's
a
another
Rocky speed bag. That's
the reason you can anticipate each one is that it's another step closer to the end of the season. The kickings will stop.
I gotta make one of these things. I sent you yesterday. It's one of the memes that's going around, and it's from the Batman movie where you got take a look at what you did to my partner's face, and it's the Penguin goes, come on, what are you showing me? And he yells, open your eyes. I sent you that one because it was the NFL London showing America the product that was Jags Patriots yesterday.
Oh, buddy.
But I really feel like you could do one with us in our offense. It'd just be very easy to throw those words in there.
Well, I almost called you last night. I knew that it was Mets Dodgers, so I was like, let me leave him be. The season may be coming to an end, and he's had a hell of a run and a good time with this group, so I'm going to let him watch in peace. But had it not been Mets Dodgers, I think I was going to ask if you would please put together, and I had an idea for it, so I was going to aid at least in this endeavor. It wouldn't have to be mustered out of thin air. I was going to tell you it's montage time, but it's a self-sabotaging montage of our buffoonery. And it's easy. Don't worry. No shortage of clips for you to run through. You could easily go through that game and the one previous and the one previous and the one previous and the one previous and just go, I'll take that here. I'll take that. You could have just taken a montage of all the times the play-by-play announcer said, and it's dropped. Boy, he had the first down, just got to catch the ball there. That'll set up a long 3rd and 13. They had the first down. Good play call there. Ball was put on the money. That's tough to overcome now. That's tough.
Glenn's going to take off, use his legs. Good gain. The
ball came loose.
Does Duke have it? They do.
Of course that kid punched the ball perfectly. Of course he did. I mean, in real time, that speed of play is happening, and that dude zeroes in like the Matrix on the football and punches it. Of course he does. That's... I would also like you to use, and these won't be as easy to find as dropped, because dropped it's sort of an omnipresent per drive thing. There's a drop a drive, or every other drive. There's a drop every other drive. Like, okay, there's a throw, and it's dropped. I'm going to walk around just in my house to piss off my kids. And it's dropped. With the same frequency with which we drop the ball, I'm going to utter that randomly. Walking down the hall, in the kitchen, I may be making a turkey sandwich for them for the morning. And it's dropped. I'm just going to start saying it so it gets under their skin the way it gets under mine with the drop passes. It's just over and over and over again. It was like Jeff Bowden's offense with 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. That's what we are now with the, and it's dropped. I don't know, Bob. Let's take a second look at that. I think that was right in his hands. I don't think it was anything the defender did. Let's go ahead and watch it in slow motion. I suspect you're correct. I have a hunch you're right. You saw it in real time.
Or the play-by-play guy got it wrong. It's batted down. No, I don't think it was.
No, I don't think it was. I don't think he was anywhere near that pass. That was perfectly thrown. In fact, it led the receiver. There was a lot of room to run if he catches that pass. He might score, in fact. Let's take a look at it again. Oh, no, you're right. You're right, Keith. It wasn't deflected at all. That's just a drop, a good old-fashioned drop. Yes, it is. Yes. And he's got him. He's going up top here. And he dropped it. Whoa, that is tough. That's been a problem for this team this year. That's true, Bob. I believe they had 5 last week. We've got 4 already tonight here in the first half.
And those are plays that you just have to make. These are layups.
When your offense is struggling and your offensive line, which has been maligned rightfully all season, gives you that kind of time to throw and you put it on them, you just expect a player at this level to make that catch. You do, Bob. You do.
Sometimes it's just guys pressing. They want it so much. They want it so much, and you can see it. But this is where you just have to let that thought go and make the play.
You just got to take a deep breath. You didn't get a scholarship to Florida State because you couldn't catch. Obviously, you caught the ball in high school. You've probably caught the ball for many of the years that you've been here at Florida State for whatever reason now. And, these things can be contagious, Bob. I saw it a couple weeks ago when we had their game. There was a drop really early in the first quarter. I think it was a Benson drop that was a surefire first down, may have been more. And then the next thing I knew, everybody was dropping the ball. You had their tight end actually deflecting balls to the other team repeatedly, and you had another receiver, a veteran receiver, drop the ball as well. Maybe you just play those young guys now because they might run the wrong route and you get a disastrous result. But I can't imagine that they would drop the ball any more than this starting veteran group has. I think you probably just got to play all youngsters. Well, he looked into it during the bye week. We talked to him before the game tonight, and he said that a lot of young guys would get opportunities. Now, with that come mistakes, but these veterans just continue to drop passes that you have to catch. That's going to put the end of the drive here, and so the All-American punter comes out for the 5th time in this first half. All of us are just sitting there nodding, fighting back the compulsion to throw something, kick something, scream at the top of our lungs, fall into the fetal position.
And they're not done, because then a couple plays later, it looks like another player down for Florida State. While we have a moment here, let's go to the progressive game summary. And Lewis, this is just a bunch of Florida State miscues here. Let's take a look.
Oh, another player down for Florida State is right up there with, and it's dropped. The montage would be, and it's dropped. Looks like another player down for Florida State. And it's dropped. Looks like another player down for Florida State. And it's dropped. Looks like another player down for Florida State. Just start. That's your base loop. That's the basis for the loop. Now we'll go in and add some other things.
With Zombie Nation. Zombie.
And it's dropped.
Zombie Nation.
Looks like another player down for Florida State.
Zombie.
And it's dropped.
Zombie Nation. Not bad.
Yeah, we could do it. You can do it. I would start with the offensive line. What are you laughing about over there?
I'm just proud of myself that I chose Zombie Nation. It's been a minute since that was a thing.
No, Kev writes, was telling Buddy this last night. I like Mike. I think he's a good coach. I believe many different factors have caused this, but although I believe all of that, I don't see how he turns this around. No, Kev, I think this is really like the rational discussion amongst Florida State fans that recognize the 19 wins in a row and recognize the good job he did in turning this around. And by the way, he gets credit too for the development of certain guys. I get that Jordan Travis might have masked a lot of these problems, but obviously Jordan Travis was running Mike Norvell's offense.
And he wanted to quit the game.
Told Mike he wanted to quit and was encouraged by Mike not to quit. Was told by Mike that he thought if he could get his confidence back and really just believe in himself, he could win a Heisman Trophy. That's what Mike was saying to him. So, listen, you don't get to throw out the baby with the bathwater here. You don't get to say that Mike has just been this, whatever this is, and this is terrible. You do have to note the successes and the ability to aggressively go after players in the portal and evaluate those players well, which helped expedite the turnaround for Florida State. Did he not do enough in requiring his staff to recruit the high school ranks at a higher level? Yes, it's a fair criticism. I think we can all say that is true. I'm sure right about now he regrets the hell out of that, and changes will be forthcoming. But you've got to have the even-handed conversation about taking over a dumpster fire of a program on the heels of back-to-back coaches failing miserably, the end of Jimbo and obviously the brief tenure of Willie. So you inherit that in a freaking pandemic. And within a very short period of time, you win 10 games and then you go undefeated and win the conference championship. So you get credit for that, just as you get ripped right now. Ripped, deservedly ripped. I mean, as angry as I can ever remember being about watching a product under any coach, anywhere, anytime, is this here right now under Mike Norvell. He has to wear that. This is the situation you're in. You're not going to deny the situation you're in. But it is bizarre, and I think it's fair what you just said, Brett. I think it's that a lot of people are like, I like Mike. There's been a lot to like about Mike. There's been a lot to celebrate. If he hadn't had the 10-win and 13-win season and he was doing this, we would all just say, fire him today. He would have never gotten the extension. He would have never been thought of as a guy that had turned the program around. He'd never be held in high regard. It would have been very simple. We would have just said, oh, well, you got to fire him. It's not working. Unfortunately, we've had a third straight guy not work out. Going to have to get a fourth. Let's see what happens. But he did have those wins. That did happen. Back-to-back years, you begin your season by beating LSU, and, you're beating your rivals 3 years in a row. You're doing all these things that you would normally give kudos to. That all happened, and now here we are with this. This is also happening. This is also real. This is also something to talk about.
It was a question that was asked after 3 games and 4 games and 5, where people would ask and bring it up in the post-game show. So this isn't like us. It's the fans themselves saying, if there was no buyout issue, would you fire him now? And I feel like in the moment that it was first asked, which would have been Memphis, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
No. And I think if you polled 100, 1,000, factor of 10 fans, it would have been 70-30 no. But the problem is these losses mount and you present that hypothetical. Like if the money was not the issue, would you just try and hit the reset button from top to bottom this offseason? I think it's gone over 50% the other way. Losing to Duke brought out a whole new level. I don't know that there's one left. Maybe getting blown up by your rival, but to your point, I think this is an apathy week rather than a fury week. The losing to Duke thing moved a lot of undecideds over to the other side of the camp, which is like, what do we even do? What do we do well? Do we do anything well? We don't recruit well.
They played really well with defense on Saturday. They did.
I agree with you. I'm saying that this is where it has moved. The 1-6, the loss to Duke thing, evoked more ire than I thought. I thought it was more apathy, and there was some left in the tank.
Go back over this.
Different.
Yeah, go back over the stretch here. Okay, here you go. 41-16. You'll see what I'm doing in a second. 41-16, 45-3, 38-3, 49-17, 45-38, 35-32. Okay. Now go back. So that was the end of that 10-win season, is what that was. And then I got to pull this back up. I apologize. I was pulling up the wrong seasons here. Now I've got them in front of me.
Why? There were W's?
Tons of them. 45-24, 66-13, 31-29, 31-24, 39-17, 41-3, 38-20, 41-16, 24-7, 27-20, 58-13, 24-15, 16-6. Those are the 19 wins in a row. Most of them, save for about 6, are comfortable, even, dare I say, a lot of rocking chair games, including a rocking chair game against LSU, 45-24. A rocking chair game against LSU, okay.
Not 14 months ago.
And during those times, you couldn't have known that it was going to be like this. Now, perhaps, and it seems easy to say that now, and I don't even know if it's fair, but certainly it's worth revisiting. After the snub and the subsequent 63-3 drubbing that Florida State took at the hands of Georgia, might that had that been a precursor or something that portends of the kind of thing we're seeing right now? Was there more that could be extrapolated from that game going into this season than we recognized at the time? Did that mean more than we thought it meant?
Had to have.
We thought it was nothing short of a group opting out after a historic and unprecedented snub. We thought, okay, this has never happened before. An undefeated Power 5 champion, conference champion, multiple wins over SEC teams, got left out in favor of a team with a loss. It had never been done. And we thought, okay, well, you know what? They opted out. A lot of these guys have to have surgery. They're going to the draft. A lot of these guys said, screw it. You know what? The games don't seem to matter. This one surely doesn't matter. We're not playing. And that's what we chalked it up as. But maybe it meant more. Maybe it sent us spiraling down a path we didn't recognize coming into this season.
I think it laid groundwork for, if you didn't start well, it would re-present itself. I think that's what it did. If you win in Dublin, again, you get away with one there. I don't think the BC game looks like it does. But I think it just, how could it not have a psychological impact? I don't know it was the decision of the opt-outs, though. I don't want to look at that and say the opt-outs were the indicator that these guys were being...
No, a lot of the guys that opted out legitimately had surgeries they had to have, and others were like hanging on. They were going to play through those injuries if we had made the playoff, obviously, because there's something of note that it was worth, right? And they would have seen, like, we could win a national championship. I'll play through this torn muscle in my bicep, even though I've got to get ready for the NFL Combine. I'll do that because I'm committed to the cause. We're undefeated. We're playing for a championship. We're getting our just due. But when they didn't and they all said no, we thought, okay, makes sense. Makes sense. The committee just told you the games don't matter. And we know this bowl game doesn't matter. So, all right, go ahead. Go do what you got to do to get ready for the next stage of your career. But might it had a deleterious effect that we did not recognize in the moment?
It's possible. I would just say that of all the practices I watched leading up to the season, and you were at a lot more for spring and fall camps, they weren't lollygagging and loafing.
No,
they weren't going through
committed.
the motions.
They were committed.
So, I mean, there would be more evidence there in that moment where you're like, well, but just taking a day off? Okay.
Yeah, we had problems with the receivers. We would say,
sure,
yeah, they don't catch the ball as well as I'd like.
Aptitude,
and,
aptitude versus effort's different. We said that this group would be worse than its predecessor, but the schedule laid out nicely, so maybe you can take advantage of it. Plus, like the depth in the trenches more, because the trenches were competitive, and we thought that was because they were at a higher plane. And the other thing I'd say is that when Mike Norvell would speak on a team at any point before this season, before 2024, he was dead on and transparent and correct. So if he said one facet of a team was going to be better, he wasn't pumping sunshine. It came true. It was reality.
Right. Yeah.
This one is the outlier, and my God, it's not even on the graph.
Yeah, it's on fire. It's a crazy. It's an outlier that is burning before you.
You have outliers and charts on a piece of paper. It's not even on the paper.
Yeah.
It's like a dot on the wall on the other side of the room.
Jonathan wants to know, how do you ever go into a season, next couple of seasons, ever trusting anything with this program again? Oh, no, buddy. Jonathan, listen, you're right. And he says, regardless of support staff changes, I'm not quite sure how to do that. You won't do that. You won't do that. I won't do that. No Seminole anywhere is going to want to hear and believe, more importantly, any sort of positive write-up or commentary from me or anybody else about the team going into the next season. And maybe not the season after or the season after or the season after. They're going to want irrefutable, overwhelming evidence, concrete evidence that this was the craziest outlier of outliers, and they're going to want to know how. And I think that's the part where we're at now, Tom. We're all a bunch of people asking how. How? It's okay to highlight areas that you had concerns about prior to this season that were masked by the wins. You know, all the wins. But even if you took all of those highlighted areas and added them up, you would not have deduced, not because of context clues or any physical evidence whatsoever, that this season was possible for this program on the heels of last year. You would not have. And anybody that says they would have is a liar. You would not have.
Well, to his point, anything that Mike would tell you was coming, you could take as gospel. You know, before the 22 season, he said, success is coming for this team. And before the 23 season, he said that he started to use the word championship, aspirations. And before the 21 season, when they didn't have a good year,
he didn't pump them up.
No, and he told recruits, like, just watch us work. I'm not telling you that, you know, we're going to win 8 games. I'm not going to tell you we're going to win 10 games. So this is where, to Jonathan's point, he could say anything he wants in the offseason with coaching changes and new players coming in.
No, we're just going to watch.
We'll see. We'll see. And we could tell you what it looks like relative to other seasons worth of practices. Relative to last year, they look better at this place. But, I mean, the whole thing about the best, if he says they got the best offensive line they've ever had this offseason, we're going to be like, are you psyching us out here? You about to say psych? I'm waiting for it.
I'm going to tell you right now, next year, we're going to come in here, and I'm going to watch some Randy Moss-esque practice figure make play after play after play, score 6 touchdowns. Elijah Moore is leaping out of the back of the end zone, making one-handed grabs and toe-touching just inside the end line. We're going to be like, that may be one of the greatest practices a wide receiver has ever had in the history of Florida State football, and Peter Warwick would agree. And when I'm going to come in and somebody's going to go, how was practice today? I'm like, I don't know. Nothing really. I don't know what to take from it. That's what's going to happen. They're going to go, well, there were rumors on the boards that somebody like Elijah Moore had 9 catches for 200 yards and 2 of the most acrobatic plays you'll ever see in the back of the end zone. Did you not see that?
Reminded me of that Thursday that Morlock had in the early part of fall camp last year. Yeah.
Just going to go, doesn't mean anything. Well, I mean, I heard in the scrimmage that the offense was unstoppable. They had 58. I don't know. Maybe they did. I don't know. But did you see? I did. Yeah. No, didn't mean. Yeah. Jeff, there are 7 NFL scouting services that have him ranked as the #1 player in the country. You haven't seen anything from him in practice. It's just, I don't know.
Could be the defense.
He might be awful.
We might not be able to cover.
Yeah, I don't know. Could be the worst defense in the country, guys. You ever think about that?
Roofing and construction services. T-Bar Construction.com. We conquer all peaks. We fix those dark leaks. Call 850-766-134. T-Bar Enterprises. Roofing and construction services. T-Bar Construction.com.
CCC 1331204.
Tallahassee is full of rich history and traditions. When you think of things that jump out in the minds of longtime residents, the state capitol, McClay Gardens, the Springtime Tallahassee Parade, FSU and FAMU Sports, the St. Mark's Lighthouse, St. George Island, and Paul's Termite and Pest Control. Paul's has been protecting thousands of people, their pets, their homes, and their lawns in the capital region for over 50 years. Locally founded and still locally owned and operated. There aren't many businesses in our industry that keep it together that long. Paul's Pest Control has many customers we've been honored to serve for over the last 50 years. We've experienced tremendous changes in how we treat homes and protect the people that live there. We've moved from liquid termite treatments that require drilling into the home's foundation to Centricon, a baiting system which works with their natural biology. We've moved from interior service to exterior treatments for general pests. But one thing we're not going to change is our old-fashioned commitment to personal service for each of our customers, the same way we've been doing it for over 50 years.
For the elimination of termites, any other pests, and a greener lawn too,
call Paul's.
We'll get them all.
This announcement is brought to you by Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey.
If you're driving right now, you should know there's an 80% chance that the cars all around you don't carry any bodily injury insurance.
Most people don't realize it, but in Florida, all the law requires is that drivers carry property damage insurance. This means that the texting teen drifting over into your lane or the drag racer on your rear bumper have no way of compensating you or your loved ones when they cause a crash. And this should scare the hell out of you. Fortunately, there's an easy way to protect your family from this, and it's called uninsured motorist coverage. It's an absolute must, but a lot of insurance companies are convincing folks to drop it just to save a few dollars. Take it from the personal injury experts. Don't. At Fonville, Lewis, Messer, McConaughey, we've recovered millions of dollars in uninsured motorist coverage in crashes where our clients would have otherwise received nothing. So please, call your agent right now and make sure you have uninsured motorist coverage on your policy. We hope you'll never need it, but we'll be here for you if you ever do. Fonville, Lewis, Messer, McConaughey. Don't settle for less.
Homeowners, this is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, and I want to talk to you today about consolidating your debt. Are you struggling with your monthly expenses? Consumer spending and overall debt are reaching all-time highs, while homeowners are sitting on trillions of dollars in untapped equity in their homes. Don't be afraid to walk away from that 2% mortgage while you're paying double-digit interest rates on credit cards and lines of credit and drowning in debt. Let's talk about how we can consolidate your debt, lower your overall monthly payments, and potentially save you thousands of dollars in the process. Give me a call at 954-369-6171. Again, 954-369-6171. And this is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, and I'm at 954-369-6171.
Equal housing lender, NMLS 373031.
Science-backed, technology tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Get a chance here in just a moment to talk to our own Ira Schafel, Warchant.com. He obviously will have plenty of thoughts, just as we all do right about now. He's 3-2-1, very good. You could have read that yesterday. I did. And contemplating the future of FSU's season and future seasons after what we've, I think, aptly described so far as a season that is almost beyond description. And over and over again, we try. There is a conversation to be had, but it is getting harder and harder to properly vet and explain this gone bastardization of Florida State football. It's unreal. Ira Schafel, Warchant.com, joins us now, as we want to do on Mondays. Hello, Ira. How are you?
Well, that was a cool intro. I'm excited after hearing that.
It's tough, buddy. I was actually pumping up your 3-2-1. I said that people should read the 3-2-1 column you produced yesterday and check out those observations and questions and predictions that you threw out there. And I know it just gets exceedingly difficult at this point, Ira, to really explain what's happening here. We're witnessing just, firsts all over the place. And I just think that there's there's a level of crestfallen that I've never experienced before in the modern era of Florida State football. And there have been some dark moments, I mean, the end of the Willie time, the end of the Jimbo time, the entering into the lost decade where you watched a legend see the game passing by. It was hard for people to take, but I never thought we'd be here. And yet this is where we sit. And I think you would agree. And I know that you pointed out, the future and talked a little bit about wanting, again, to really fast track all these young players. But it is hard to know what this is going to look like next year, because at this point, would you not agree that there will be a massive overhaul in staff, right?
I mean, you would think so. You would definitely think so. The challenge with, or I guess not the challenge, but when you look at a game like Friday night, that's not a game where you couldn't compete. It's just you couldn't stop making your mistakes that killed you. And so, to me, that's that's almost like a different story. I've had a few people say things like, "Oh, it's the same thing every week." It's like, well, it's not really the same thing every week. They haven't had a game like that where you turn the ball over 3 times on your own side of the field and don't give yourself a chance to win. If you take away those 3 plays, which you can't do, but my point is, they gave Duke that win. I think in some of these other games, they just weren't good enough. It's just a different kind of frustrating, but really, every week it's something different, but it all ends up in losses. And now you're staring, obviously, the best team you played all year in Miami. And you got to assume Mario Cristobal will be motivated to hang, if not a half 100, then maybe a full 100 on you if he can.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It becomes a blurred line between not being good enough and then mistake prone, and all of them bleeding into one as a representation of complete dysfunction.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing. If this game, they actually did run the ball better than they have.
Because they incorporated the quarterback's legs. How about that?
Amazingly enough. And then also, I think defensively, these last 2 games, I think the defense has played pretty well. And I think it had been playing pretty well until things unraveled at SMU. So, I feel like over the last month or so, last 5 weeks, the defense has played well enough where you could win some of these games, but the offense has been so unbelievably bad. But now you do have a different story right now because, listen, man, I think I'm excited about Luke Romanhawk. I thought a couple of the throws he made in that game were impressive, and I know the game was going too fast for him. And I know he was bothered by the pass rush and all that, but he's got a big time arm, man, and he made some great throws today at practice. So that's one thing that I'm kind of hanging on to is with this team he has around him. I don't know what he's going to be, and maybe the line is so bad that they'll ruin him. But that is one thing I'm pretty excited about. I think Luke Romanhawk is got a chance to be a big time quarterback. Now it's just, can you fix everything else around him?
I like Luke a lot, and that dime to Portier is a thing of beauty. Again, I pointed it out in hour number 1, but how comical is it that the Duke player jumps up afterwards and gives the lockdown seatbelt gesture?
That's why. Well, I think when on TV, the announcer said it was a breakup, and then I just assumed it was a breakup, and then you watch the replay, and it's like, oh no, that was not a pass breakup at all.
No, not even close. That guy was beat. It's a perfect throw. You couldn't hand place it into Portier's hands any better than where it was.
And I'm guessing just based on what Alex Atkins said yesterday, he made a comment about putting receivers in positions where they've been in before, whether it's dealing with the lights or whatever, which makes me kind of wonder if maybe Kentron's trying to say he lost in the lights.
Oh, get the hell up out of here.
I mean, I don't know that. I'm just saying that that's the only thing I could kind of wonder. But yeah, man, that's the thing. Like, this will be a good topic for us to discuss tomorrow on headlines. But, I was listening to Corey and Aslan on Wake Up Warchant, and Corey went on this big rant about how, needing a new offensive coordinator and all that. And it's like, I hear you, but you have an offensive line that can't block. You have receivers who can't catch, and you don't have quarterbacks who are ready. And I don't know what coordinator's making chicken salad out of what they have. Now, you can blame Mike Norvell and his staff for putting together this roster, but I don't think the problem right now is coordination or game planning. The problem is you need better players, going forward.
I would concur. I think the argument that Corey's going to make, or that I would make if I were making it for Corey or on that side of the ledger, is that I thought the offense in the second half of last season, somewhat because of the injuries to the wide receivers, was pedestrian with all the talent that they had. But the more compelling argument is the one you're making, and that is they can't block. Ira, this offensive line is pure ass. They can't block anybody. I would fire Alex Atkins yesterday. This group has regressed. There's no real development. He hasn't produced a single pro. This is nonsense. And at this point, if you're going to fire anybody in season, I would think he's the top candidate.
Yeah, I mean, to me, he's the only candidate you really could that would make sense if you're going to do it in season. But then you ask yourself, what are you doing? Are you doing it just as a to send a message to your team that you're not going to put up with nonsense? Or are you sending a message to the fan base?
Probably the latter. Probably the latter. Yeah.
Yeah. Or are you going to get? Is anything going to be better? I mean, I get that the fan base wants somebody to go down for this. That's going to happen. Probably several people at some point are going to go down for this, but I don't know that it makes you better in these last 5 weeks. So that's the question. I don't know. I'm not telling people they shouldn't do it. And if he did do it, I wouldn't argue against it. I'm just not 100% sure what it.
Oh, I agree that within a season, it is very rare that actually firing, like Oklahoma fired their OC yesterday. Utah's OC resigned, I'm sure, because he was asked to.
If they're play callers, I get it. But Alex Atkins isn't the play caller.
No, I agree. I was going to make a different point. I agree with you. I think a lot of times firing a coach in season, it doesn't do you any good in the now. It doesn't. It's a message sender. If you've got somebody on staff who can play that role, meaning you don't put extra burden or work on your own self by firing that person, you might want to, in this era of college football, with the calendar sped up, begin the search a little early and look for an OC/offensive line coach or something of that ilk. Maybe you would do that. I don't know. But these are all things that I think a lot of people, like you said, if it's on the table, nobody's going to be shocked, and nobody would clutch their pearls and go, "Oh, I can't believe he did that," because this is as inept as you'll ever see.
Yeah, but the reality is, again, Mike Norvell is, one of the positives of Mike Norvell, I think, is also a negative, just like a lot of coaches. It's what your greatest strengths are sometimes. Your greatest weaknesses with Bobby Bowden is his loyalty, and then it turned around and hurt him. With Mike Norvell, I think he puts so much of this on him. Like, I think Mike Norvell used himself, like a lot of head coaches, as the personnel director, as the game planner, as the overall. I think Mike Norvell is not a delegator. This is his program. So when it's failing, as a good person, I think he wants to put a lot of the blame on himself. So my personal feeling is I don't think that he sees it as it's this guy's fault. I think he thinks it's his fault, but ultimately at the end of the day, he needs a better staff around him that he's going to listen to, because you can't have gotten into this situation. The only way you get into a situation like this is if you have a bunch of bad decisions and nobody challenges you on them. And that's how you get into the situation. But yeah, changes have to come. I just don't know when.
It's worth bringing up, and it's a good point. I had this discussion with a Noel yesterday, and we were talking about, like, how do you arrive at this place? And he said something very similar, and I agree with that. What you just said, what he said, and we were talking about this. It's like, it's because nobody who on that staff is walking in and telling Mike, that is a disastrous decision. You shouldn't do that.
Well, I mean, and listen, so whether it's consciously or subconsciously, he put the staff together. And sometimes people put a staff together like that,
so they don't get challenged.
Right. And so now I would argue that you're much better off having strong people around you, strong voices that you can argue with. And again, I don't want to relate everything back to Bobby Bowden's time, because it feels like 100 years ago. But one of the strengths of that staff when it was going right was you always heard the stories about Chuck Amato and Mark Richt and Mickey Andrews yelling at each other in meetings. And people hated Chuck Amato because he would always bring up the contrarian point of view. Well, what if this happens? Well, what if this happens? And he would, and it drove people crazy. But that makes you better. You need to have somebody, and maybe they have somebody like that. I just don't feel like we've seen any signs of it. And that's one more thing I think he needs to get, is just different points of view to challenge him as he makes his decision.
You almost need an organizational guy. A guy who's maybe not an X's and O's guy in the field, somebody who's just taking a good hard look at the overall operation and has the what for to be able to, or the respect that it's been earned, garnered from Mike, where he could walk in and say, "Hey, can I talk to you, boss? I think we got some problems brewing. I think we got some real issues here as it pertains to this, and this." And even in the wake of 13-0 or 12-0 and 13-1, whatever you'd say, you could say, "Buddy, we kind of lucked out here, and this is why. And I think we've got to make some changes, real substantive changes right now to this, and this." And it would be something that Mike, at the very least, would take home with him and think about and contemplate, because he respected the voice it came from.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I think that's something every organization needs. Now, the challenge is, if you bring somebody like that in now, midstream, then everybody else was going to feel like, this guy is the narc. But I would say that, again, as you're making changes going forward, I don't think it's about, as you make changes, it's not just about getting different people in these seats. It's about figuring out, okay, why did we get in this situation? Again, that's where, I think Norvell, he has to be honest with himself. And that's what, I've seen a lot of people say they don't believe he'll make changes. He'll be too proud, whatever.
Oh, I think he will.
I think people are projecting that based on previous experiences. But I do hope he's honest with himself and realizes, he needs to be challenged more going forward.
Well, the look on his face seems to suggest he knows this is, without question, overused phrase on the day, unmitigated disaster. He knows what this is. He knows what the standard is. He knows his own standard and Florida State's historic standard. He knows there's no way you arrive at this sorry-ass place without catastrophic decisions being made along the way that were somehow masked for a variety of reasons. He has to, right? He's a smart guy. We both concede he's a smart guy. There's no way, like in any organization, if you arrived at this place of dysfunction, that you couldn't be laying in your bed at night staring at the ceiling saying, what did I do to screw this up so bad? How could you draw any other conclusion, right?
No, I think that's 100% true. And again, I've covered some coaches that in my career that I felt like looked to place blame on other people or felt like things weren't as bad as people thought. I think Mike Norvell thinks this is as bad or worse than anybody else thinks. I mean, I think he's devastated by what has happened, and he's trying to figure out how to get out of it. The problem is you have to wear these losses in the meantime. Like, you can't just say, you know what, let's come back next year. You got to and take these ass beatings every week. Until you can do something about it. And again, it would be one thing if he wasn't if he had an offensive coordinator play caller right now, yeah, man, you could easily fire him. But he is that guy right now. Now, I guess he could assign it to somebody else, but does anybody think that there's anybody on that staff that's going to magically push the right buttons with this offensive line and these receivers to get, I mean, they need an overhaul of that offense.
My brother. Tough times. We'll talk about it more tomorrow on Headlines. We got little Monday Smash tonight.
That's right. And I can't wait. Tomorrow when Corey and I do our argument, you'll be the one that decides who's right and who's wrong.
I'll be the judge. I can tell you I'm biased ahead of time. I'm ruling in your favor. Corey's wrong.
That's the way.
Now, I said that. Hey, I said that with the court adjourned. Nobody heard it. Just you and me talking here, all right?
Sidebar.
Later, brother. Yeah. Whew. You might need a healthy happy hour. You might need my friends at Cornbread. Some THC gummies might be what you need to watch Florida State Miami or to get through your day with the season that we're having. America's first organic THC edible. That's right. 10 milligrams of THC per gummy, just the right dose. No synthetic ingredients at all. Farm Bill compliant for legal adults 21 and up. If you fit that category, get you some cornbread gummies. That's what you do. Get you some cornbread gummies. That's what you got to do, and you can save some money if you do it. The THC gummy that is 100% legal and, as I said, USDA organic. Special offer to my Jeff Cameron Show listeners. You can get 30% off your first order. Visit cornbreadhemp.com/warchant. Use promo code warchant at checkout. That's cornbreadhemp.com/warchant. Use code warchant for 30% off your first order. Cheers.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Ample sunshine expected this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 82. Northeasterly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Clear skies tonight, lows dip down to about 59. Highs around 83 tomorrow. Sunny skies. Dry Wednesday and Thursday under clear skies with highs in the mid-80s. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, it's 77 degrees.
Imagine for a moment that you are completely weightless in zero gravity. All of the weight and worry of life is melted away, and you fall into a state of profound relaxation. This is what you'll find at Tallulah CBD Mushrooms THC in Railroad Square when you try out their state-of-the-art floating pods. While you're there, shop for the best quality CBD, mushrooms, THC, and kava products available. Shop Tallulah today with 6 locations in Tallahassee and the Kava Bar Lounge in Bannerman Crossing. Online at TallulahSmokes.com.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to slow it down and get it going slower. Izervay is proven to slow GA progression. Izervay gets GA going slower. Izervay or avacincaptad pegol is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today. Izervay gets GA going slower. Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
There is no Bigfoot, Eddie. Would you stop with that nonsense?
There's a Bigfoot, Jeff.
I wish there were. By the way, I don't want you to point to me as the guy that takes all the fun out of the room. I wish there was the Loch Ness Monster. I wish there was the Bigfoot. I wish there was the Chupacabra. All the things.
They're all mythical except for the Bigfoot. The Sasquatch.
The Bigfoot?
The Bigfoot. There's big feet. There's lots of them.
So like different, breeds, like different kinds.
There's like, families. There's different families. And,
so there's if they're in the snow, you call them a Sasquatch.
Or the Yeti, right?
Yeah,
and then here in Florida, that's a skunk ape. And, I've
never heard that one. By the way, why do you think it's real? We would have found them by now.
They're the hide and seek champions of the world. Nobody finds the Bigfoot.
I think you believe in Bigfoot.
I do believe in Bigfoot.
You don't believe.
I believe in Bigfoot.
Don't tell anybody you believe in Bigfoot.
I would go look for Bigfoot, but he scares me.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Georgie writes, I haven't allowed myself to be truly angry this whole season, but that all changed with Luke's reaction to the poor teardrop. Just came when I saw his mom's clip on Instagram. I pray he stays. Go Noles. I didn't see his mom's reaction, or I really don't even remember seeing Luke's reaction other than the disappointment on his face of a receiver dropping a pass.
I think that's what he's talking about for Luke.
Yeah.
Because he was running down the field and it was
his
his moment.
Touchdown, yeah.
But no.
I'll get used to it, Luke. They'll drop some more. Noel Kev writes, you also see other teams around the country building on success, building off of different factors. We are Florida State, back-to-back 10-plus win seasons, undefeated last year. How have we not built off of that? Same way Michigan is not building off a national championship. That team's offense is a travesty. It looks like ours. Washington has fallen off a cliff since losing DeBoer. Alabama should have 3 losses, is 1 loss away from not going to a 12-team playoff. You're seeing it. It's a weird, crazy year. It's an outlier year for college football, man. Indiana's undefeated and might make the playoff.
USC lost again to Maryland.
Yeah, man, look, there's a lot of weirdness happening all over college football, and I think this idea that we're going to be able to successfully guess and assume the way we always did about big-time college football programs sustaining a modicum of success from year to year, a baseline that guaranteed 8-9 wins in the worst-case scenario, that's gone. It's gone. And, I mean, it may someday come back if there's some stability to what's happening in college football, but right now there's not. And everybody can play. And that's the part that Florida State's going to have a problem with moving forward in the portal. We gamed the portal better than everybody else early on. Mike was out front first. First to market, as they say, right? He got there first. And he realized, mother of invention, necessity. I got to do this or we're never going to win in the way that we need to. I got hamstrung by the pandemic when I got the job. I couldn't go throughout the state and build relationships in recruiting. I couldn't leave the city because of the pandemic. I better figure out a way. Well, there's a newfangled system which I can just go grab other people's really good players, or the kid tells us he wants to be picked up. Okay, we will. We'll grab that kid and that kid and that kid. And at that time, very few teams were nearly as aggressive as Florida State and Mike Norvell were. The problem he has now is everybody is now, and everybody's going to have the same amount of money to spend. Florida State's collective, the Battle's In, was the best in the country, if not the best, the second or third best, along in the conversation as best collective in the country from Jump Street. And they were aggressive, and they were willing to spend on a top 10 roster in terms of finances. Everybody can now. When the house goes through, the house money goes through, and everybody has $15 to $20 million, and it's mandated that they spend it on their athletic department, then you don't have a decisive advantage that you once had. So you no longer have that advantage. You no longer have certain players, caliber of players in the portal either. That's changed too. The newness of this has worn off. And in addition to all of that, how do you go back to the primary contributors to that collective that have, there are, I don't want to get into it, but there are some heavy hitters that have made up a big part of how that collective is operated. You can't keep going back to those same people. This is anywhere, by the way. At some point, you have to have somebody else contributing large sums of money, because right now you suck. You're 1-6. You've wasted all that money. And now you got to go back to those same people, those same 4, 5, 6, 7 people that have given up the bulk of what you've made in the collective and say, hey, listen, sorry, we screwed it up. We burned your money. And this is what you got for your commitment. Thanks so much. We love you too. Sorry about the sucking. This is going to be a very difficult road back. Hour number 3, forthcoming. Stay with.
Penny Pools has the largest selection of premium hot springs hot tubs in the city. You might even call it Tallahassee's Hot Tub Hub. 12,000 square feet of hot tubs, with over 50 of them on site. Over 20,000 gallons of tub capacity to choose from. That's 4,620,000 cubic inches of hot tubs. But I digress. So why should you own a hot tub from Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas, you might ask? Well, I'll tell you. Number 1, health benefits, of course. The healing powers of soaking in a hot bubbling pool of water go back centuries. Google it. Number 2, Pinch A Penny has hot tubs with technology called Freshwater IQ. It gives you real-time chemical readings and tells you exactly what to add to keep the water at peak perfection, with automated analysis to help you control the chlorine and pH. It's hot tubs for dummies. Sign me up. Number 3, they have the best prices, of course. Plus, you get a free accessory and no interest financing. Easy peasy. But if you don't want to take my word for it, check them out yourself. Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas. Locally owned, locally operated, and the easiest way to find relaxation at home.
Hi, this is J.L. Dunbar. I want to tell you why I'm supporting Robert Churchill for Leon County Judge, and I hope you will too. For more than 20 years, I've known Robert Churchill to be a good neighbor, a loving father and husband, a business owner, and a respected attorney. In fact, everything I've seen tells me he'll make a great Leon County Judge. Vote Robert Churchill for Leon County Judge.
Paid for and approved by Robert Churchill for Leon County Judge, Seat 4.
No matter how busy life gets, your home is the place where your family and friends show you they care and celebrate with you. That's why the professionals at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning always make sure your home is comfortable. Just like those who matter to you most, Barano will always be there for you.
This is Tyler from Barano Heating and Air. Now you can schedule an appointment, purchase or renew your service agreement, or pay your bill from your mobile device. Any day, anytime, anywhere. When you turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license number CAC 1816186.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take-home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
WVFT Greater Tallahassee. This is Real Talk 93.3. More of the Jeff Cameron Show is coming up next. Your Sports Flash update on Real Talk 93.3 brought to you by Fulmar's Pawn, Gun and Gold. More than you might expect with two great locations in Tallahassee.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Baltimore Ravens on Monday Night Football tonight. Both teams at 4-2 and both offenses averaging 29 points per game. It's a doubleheader on Monday Night Football. The Los Angeles Chargers are in Arizona to take on the Cardinals. The Jacksonville Jaguars defeated New England on Sunday 32-16 in London. They go to 2-5. Trevor Lawrence had a touchdown pass to Brian Thomas. Tank Bigsby had 2 rushing scores, finishing with 118 yards on the ground. NASCAR, Joey Logano won the South Point 400 on Sunday, and with that win, he earns a berth into the Final Four for a championship at the end of the year. He held off Christopher Bell at the line by less than a second. World Series now set. Dodgers capture the NL pennant Sunday, a 10-5 win in Game 6 of the Mets. They'll host the New York Yankees, Game 1 set for Friday night. This sports update brought to you by Flomar's Pawn, Guns, and Gold. More than you might expect. I'm Tony Desiri, Real Talk 93.3.
Flo here from Progressive to tell you how you get more than great savings with us. You get customer service access through our mobile app, online chat, or by phone.
That's a lot of ways I can get in touch with you. I see what's going on here. You can't name favors, but I'm your #1 customer.
Actually, we offer all our customers these ways to contact us.
I'm sure you give just any customer your personal
company
contact info.
Well, you did call us more than any other customer this year. So in that sense, you are our #1 customer.
Get help from Progressive through the website, app, chat, or phone. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Barman, you look so twisted. What did you do now?
Well, Hank the alligator needed his teeth brushed, and when I bent over to give him a scrub, my back popped like an afternoon lightning storm in Florida. And now I can't even stand up.
You need to go to FinChiro.com and schedule your new patient appointment right away at FinChiro.com. That's FENNCHIRO.com.
I'm really busy. I don't want to leave Hank in the orange grove unattended for too long.
Fin Chiropractic will get you in right away, and they get to the cause of your problems. So go to FinChiro.com and make your new patient appointment. There is even an online discount.
Discount? That's a good thing because my purse is a little light since I bought Hank a new gold chain.
You have to take care of yourself if you want to be able to take care of your alligator Hank. Make your appointment now. Go to FinChiro.com.
Well, hold my pina colada. I'm going to FinChiro.com.
The weather is unpredictable and can cause issues around your home. Weston Trawick provides commercial, residential, and industrial electrical wiring services, yearly inspections on fire alarms, portable generator sales, and so much more. With 24/7 emergency service and repair, Weston Trawick will be your calm in the storm. Give them a call at 514-0003. Weston Trawick. Professional electrical services day or night. Visit online at westontrawick.com.
I'll never forget
that moment.
As long as I live.
As long as I live.
My first call ever as a member of the National Guard.
When we got to the armory, they briefed us on the wildfires. They were getting dangerously close to homes.
Helicopters were going up to drop water on the fires. Guys in the unit were preparing for firefighting with local fire crews. At that moment, I got my first taste of just how important the Guard is to my community.
See how the Guard can be an important part of your life at NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the Florida National Guard. Aired by the Florida Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Don't mind if I do. Got geared up this morning. Was ready to roll. I was all in for the matchup tonight. Should be a lot of fun. Hey, you can imagine if you're just tuning in. What do you think we talked about the first 2 hours? Yeah, I know. That's tough. Ooh, tough times. Did you see? Maybe this will brighten your day. You see my Fighting the Illini, Tom? Another big win for Fat Boy.
I saw their immaculate helmets. What a cool look that they had over the weekend.
Yeah, it was really cool. Did you watch how that got done?
Yes.
It was crazy.
I saw the feature with the artist.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And I forget how long it took for each
of
helmet.
Hours and hours. The amount of care. Yeah, it was incredible. And they dominated Michigan 21-7. And, so there's that, right? We were just talking about this with our program being in disarray, that it's a weird year, and we're the greatest of the outliers. But that said, look, man, there's a lot of strange results going on right now. Not the least of which is the fact that Alabama is one loss away from not being in a 12-team playoff. That's the way to endear yourself to the fans, Kalen. They actually should have that loss right about now.
And our boy who's calling for his head because he doesn't dress properly on a Saturday.
Oh, that's right.
There was some of that in the post-game show that I had on Friday. What's he doing with these skinny jeans and
he wasn't wearing jeans.
It's like, oh God, here we go. This is what losing to Duke does, though.
Oh, it does.
That's actually a rational response. The irrational is rational when you lose to Duke.
So let's see, Michigan. What is it? They have Michigan State, Oregon. They still got to play Oregon. Ooh, and Ohio State. Oof. Yeah, it's going to be a 6-loss campaign for your defending national champions. And by the way, Michigan State this next week. Unfortunately for the Illini, the ranked Illini that I've taken to the bank every week, they've got Oregon this week. So that'll be loss number 2 on the Illini schedule. Is Indiana going to go to the – I forgot Michigan plays Indiana too. Woo, they could finish with a sub-500 record fresh off a national championship.
With a win over USC that they shouldn't have had.
Well, there you go. Indiana, meanwhile, folks, undefeated. Signetti out here sipping on a bad scotch with a cigarette hanging from his lips, telling people to Google him. What's funny about all of this, and they have an offensive lineman that wanted to play here and that we didn't bother to cement the deal with and screwed up, and now that guy's like the best tackle in the Big Ten. It's a toughie. Probably shouldn't have whiffed on that one. Got to get that guy. Not unlike the Scorton kid at defensive end. Probably should have gotten him too, because he was pretty much signed, sealed, and delivered, and somehow he messed it up. So, these are all the whiffs that we forget about when we see the product on the field, but those are things that would have helped change, perhaps, Florida State's fortunes, certainly in the trenches.
I don't know. I was going to say, can the kid catch?
Well, I mean, being able to block might have enabled you to run and do the things you wanted to do when you brought in DJ. Now, this receiving core would probably never have been good, but might the confidence not have been eroded to a place now where they're incompetent? Perhaps. We could do the what-ifs all we want. Indiana's schedule moving forward is Washington, Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State, and Purdue. So we'll see. Yeah, they get, there's a little something to it. But they'll be favored against Washington, favored against Michigan State, favored, I dare say, as we sit here today, against Michigan. Not at Ohio State. They'll be underdogs there. And even if they lose it, say they lose it, they're going to go 11-1. So this will present you with a very interesting conversation. Does an 11-1 Big Ten team who happens to be named Indiana get in over a 2-loss or 3-loss SEC team? They should.
Yeah, 9-3 Alabama. No, Alabama gets in over 11.
I think if Alabama loses one more game, they're done. I think they're done. They're the 6th highest ranked team in the SEC currently.
Yeah, but they're number 3 in the ESPN FPI.
Stop with your FPI nonsense.
I'm just telling you what they are. Number 3 in the country in the ESPN FPI.
Oh my goodness
Documented.
gracious.
Documented.
Documented. It's fascinating. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the CFP projections, but Alabama, in 2 of those, is said to have less than a 50% chance of making the playoffs.
Oh, really?
No, those communist projections.
Well, remember, Texas was number 7? Were they number 7? But that performance against Oklahoma State was so overwhelmingly incredible that they rose up to number 3 with 1 week. So there's some market volatility here.
Well, I'll tell you who's not volatile. I told you to leave my man alone. Georgia's coasting to the playoff now, baby. That's an ass stomping of Texas.
Yeah, that's almost like, it reminded me of Mets Braves in the final day of the regular season, where both teams got to celebrate their results.
Right.
You had both clubhouses celebrating. They actually had some players come out and take photos together after for game 162 or day 163. Texas and Georgia both walk off that field as playoff participants after that game.
They do.
That's the weird thing about where we live and the time we're living in.
There's the good and bad with all of this. Of course, there's the bad of the ramifications for losing certain games not mattering nearly as much. Now, that one would have always been one you could survive if you were Texas, so long as you didn't lose another game and you didn't have 2 undefeated teams, like in the old system. But whereas the Vanderbilt loss, meaning Alabama's loss to Vanderbilt, would not have been one under the old system that you could survive. You know, back in the day, you would have been excommunicated. Have a good one. You're going to drop to 18th. You'll finish the year at number 5, and what a toughie. Try not losing to Vanderbilt.
Well, Vandy has now dropped to number 42 in the ESPN FPI. They lost 7 spots this week.
Sooners fired their OC. Southern Miss fired their head coach. Utah named a new OC, and Ludwig resigned. And the Michigan coach keeps getting asked about how it is that their quarterbacks can't play, even a little bit. East Carolina fired their coach. And Florida State fans everywhere want to know when coaches will be fired here on staff in Tallahassee. Don't know the answer to that. Tom seems to think that after Saturday's game against Miami, you may get answers. If it's going to happen, it may happen after that game. He's citing the point in the schedule, a rivalry game that could go terribly wrong.
It's just looking at the calendar. It's nothing more. You know, if the Miami game, if it gets ugly on Saturday night, which that is the likeliest of outcomes, is that it does get ugly on. And this is one where I said Clemson, they'll look at us as the next team on the schedule. They're mad about Georgia, not mad about losing to us last year. It wasn't about us. It was about the embarrassment that Georgia handed them and righting that wrong. Miami will very much have a personal, it's Miami. And also the last time we were in that building,
45-3.
Yeah.
45-3 was the score. Florida State over Miami in that building, and it was a wonderful moment in the sun. It was a moment where recruits and fans looked with mouths agape at the product they were watching and how dissimilar it was. Florida State was here. Miami was down here in the back alley behind the dumpster once again, and people were kicking them on their way out the bar, flicking lit cigarettes at them as they walk to their car. Now, how quickly things change. What's the saying? Life comes at you fast. Florida's better than we are. Billy Napier is going to keep his job. I got that right. Not happy about it. They're better than people realize. And oh, by the way, they lucked into falling into the kid having to start because Mertz gets hurt, and it's the best thing that could have happened to him. Because Lagway's good. And he happens to love Billy Napier. So now your leader is a freshman who's playing well and loves Billy Napier and professes it publicly. Great.
That also influences decisions. What your rivals are doing influences decisions. I'm not saying it is an overhaul Sunday. I feel like 45-10 going the other way. You're looking at the calendar, the reality. There are other teams that are in the market right now. So this is the other thing that you have to consider. Is other teams are now shopping for positions that you will be shopping for. We need to get on the market. I feel like that would be coming, but
I think
this would be wrong.
Oddly, this would be. It's not ideal. You don't want to be in this situation. Clearly, I gave. If you're really interested in hour number 1, I gave you the fallout and frustration of where we're at. We've been stripped of the legendary Florida State Miami week. We've been stripped of any fun for a rivalry game. There's nothing left here. This is nothing but the remnants of a program. This is just the ashes. That's what we are. We are just a Florida State football team by name currently. There's no real substance to what this is right now. And so you go into a game, a Florida State Miami game that is legendary, has always been, and you have not only nothing in the way of a feeling, not even the hatred you normally can embrace and wrap your arms around this time of year exists. You're just left as hollow. You've got nothing. That's what this season has done. That's what Mike has wrought with this campaign. A lifeless corpse walking into Miami and a fan base that will be tuned out.
You know what the number is? Did you see it?
21.5.
Yeah, it's holding there. 21.5.
The only reason it's not more is Miami's defense has been terrible. Miami's defense would give up a lot of points to air. So the thought from the odds makers is, well, I know Florida State's awful, but they'll probably score 20, 21 against this Miami defense. I would tell them that I think they might be wrong. I'm not real sure we would. I think competent teams would all score 20-plus points on Miami because they have. Everyone who's competent does. But we're incompetent on offense. So the same can't hold true. You can't use that bar as I put this number higher for Miami to cover. It's just that I don't trust their defense, and everybody can score 20 or 30 points on Miami's defense. Yeah, everybody does. Everybody does. But we're not everybody. We can't get to 20 points to save our life. We're awful. We can't block. And if we do, we don't catch. That's a tough combo, my friends. When the kids get time to throw and make an accurate throw and a right read, we drop it. So I would argue with an odds maker that number maybe should be bigger. I might be wrong. I don't know. I just look at us and I look at them, and I think if they're highly motivated and pissed about being on the wrong end of a rivalry loss 3 years in a row, including a 45-3 shellacking in their own backyard, I think we'll have their attention. I think that Cristobal, rightly, will be in the mood to put up a number. And he should, because we would do the same and should do the same. I would, and I would keep running it up. If I ever got a chance to beat down Florida or Miami because of recruiting, I would always do it. Always. To the point where it would be borderline uncomfortable. People would think, Jesus, man. I mean, you're a human being.
Halfback toss pass?
Yeah.
Really?
It's 56-0. You just called that? I did. I want a high school kid who's on the fence to see 70-7. I want there to be no doubt about where these two programs are. And this is my fear for Saturday, is that we're inept, impotent to do anything about it, at least offensively. I'm not real sure we're going to get any stops on defense either with this kid at quarterback that they have. It's another Saturday, another kick to the boys in a series of kicks to the boys.
In prime time.
Can we not play what is it, every week? Why don't you put Florida State out there in prime time so the country can see how bad they are? Let's do it every week, in fact. If we can do it to they're the only game on, we would.
Could be. We got 6-day option for North Carolina. Maybe that's 8 p.m. CW. Could be.
It's old and easy, but just throw us on the Cartoon Network. It's just so deflating. It's just so difficult to get your mind wrapped around what we're witnessing at this point. It is really, this is why I say you're dealing with a fan base. I mean, look, the analysis, by and large, it's passed us by. We're done. We can all see it. Drop passes, untimely penalties, poorly coached, players aren't good enough. There's all these very obvious things. But people want to know, and I do too, what else? What else had to have happened along the way? Like, this is the kind of thing where you could, if this was another program, and I'm not saying any of this happened, but like if you sit back, because we're all college football fans, we're pro football, a lot of us are pro football fans. When you watch disorganization, when you watch dysfunction, when you watch ineptitude, you're like, oh my God, that's just what we see on game day. Imagine what has to be going on there in the locker room. What has to be going, like at the end of the very brief stint that Urban Meyer had with the Jacksonville Jaguars, you began to hear whispers almost immediately. The play was poor. He looked ill-prepared. None of his teams seemed to be organized in any way. He was not fit to coach pro football. He was a buffoon.
He was like abusing their kicker.
Yeah, he kicked the kicker, and he did all kinds of weird things. And, he brings in Tim Tebow to play fullback, and like it's just the dumbest and tight end, and all of it.
He didn't take the team flight home so he could go take pictures.
He wanted to grope a 21-year-old's ass at a bar in Columbus
on camera
while hammered. I mean, you're like all these things that you're like, well, good God, man, this guy, this is a train wreck. All right, well, those things became very public over time. It happened very quickly. But you thought it was commiserate to what you were seeing on the field. Like the poor play seemed to match the bizarre things you were reading and hearing about in Jacksonville while he was there. If this were a different program and you didn't have any insight or know anything about the head coach or his staff or the players or anything, you'd be sitting at a bar with another college football fan going, I wonder what's happening in Tallahassee, because this is impossible. It's not possible. They were 13-0 last year before the bowl game. How in the world is this team 1-6? Like what? What is going on there? Well, it seems to me, Jeff, they don't have very good players. No, they don't. But the most legendary of all coaches in the history of the game watched back-to-back days of practice and called him one of the top 10 talented teams in the country. The head coach, who doesn't have a history of blowing smoke, told everybody it was the best offensive line he'd ever assembled. They did have the, actual on-field success. So what is this? Might there be something more nefarious going on behind the scenes than we realize? You would be left to conclude that. You would be. I'm not saying there is. I'm saying you'd be like, these are the kinds of searching moments that fans would have and are having. Like, what is it I'm not catching? Did something else happen unbeknownst to us that has led to this kind of dysfunction?
This is where we get to a place. Baseball, I find to be a superior sport for when it's going bad, really bad, because you just get a new set of data the next day. And even if it's the same thing, White Sox fans, you guys know what I'm talking about. It's at least new every day.
Yeah.
With football, you've got to wait and wait and wait through a bye. I mean, this Duke game was off of a bye. We haven't talked about that very much, but this was off of a bye. So,
I will tell you, they did organize, engineer, scheme up some different things in this game.
Oh, sure.
And if we could catch the ball, it would have worked to a much greater degree. They already did improve the run game in this game.
They did.
Because they used the quarterback's legs.
You want more data now because it speeds up the days. Like what I find myself doing in this moment is something we should never have to do at Florida State, but here we are and we're doing it. So it doesn't matter what ought to be. Here's what is. I see to my left here on this computer screen, it says Monday, October 21st, which means it's 4 days away from my birthday.
Mine too.
Your birthday?
No, my clock says that it's October.
Okay.
21st.
We're talking about this earlier in the segment, and I'm thinking 2 months. December 21st, there's going to be so much more knowledge about the changes that were made Obviously, signing day is not going to be something that we're waving banners about, but signing day will have happened. The portal is going to be open. You're going to see who wants to get out of here, who's committed to it, who's not. You will have clear indicators of how Mike believes he should navigate through this process to save his job. What decisions will he make? And 2 months from now, you're going to know that. And then my next thought is, can I get there? Can we get there? Can we race through what we got to race through?
The only problem with that, and I you're not wrong on your analysis, I don't want to race through the college football season just because we suck.
Us. Can we?
Yeah.
Can I know that what I need to know? What's coming next? Because this waiting stuff to watch guys line up offsides 4 times out of,
buddy.
Look, I get Papuchis was saying stuff on certain plays, refs can get involved if they want to. We also have our hand over the line. We got away with one on the first drive with Marvin Jones Jr. on third down.
It's just dumb.
Move your hand back by 3 inches.
It's just dumb. Over and over again, dumb.
Right. You want to get mad about the Peyton early jump? Sure. The hand is, we crowd the ball all the time. You don't go over the line, man. They let a few go, too.
You'll be 39.
They were tired of calling it.
You'll be 39 and
38.
Oh, you'll be turning 38.
Yeah.
I thought you were turning 39. Last year in your 40s, your 30s.
Yeah, not my Enrico Ciccone yet.
Yeah,
I'm on the 38 special.
38. Okay. Hold on loosely. See what I did there?
I do.
38 special. You gave it to me. It was easy. It was a layup.
That's usually something I would do.
But you gave it to me. It was right there. Know your body and transform your life with DexaFit Tallahassee, your go-to science-backed health insights. Yeah, that's what you're going to get when you get one of those DEXA scans. You'll find out everything you need to know. Where is the visceral fat that you need to rid your body of? Your bone density, your muscle mass, the strengths and weaknesses, lean muscle, all that stuff. And you get a VO2 max, too. When you go get the whole thing over there at DexaFit, you'll learn a lot about how to train smarter. Not longer or harder, but smarter. They offer up red light therapy, which helps soothe sore muscles, reduces inflammation, rejuvenates the skin, which is a nice thing. Maybe Tom could do that on his 38th. If you get a DEXA scan and a red light therapy, you can get it for just $99. That's cheap. It's normally $184 if memory serves. Give them a call today, 850-510-7728, or visit DexaFit Tallahassee's website to book. Know your body. Transform your life this fall with DexaFit. If you use Jeff 25, you'll save some money too in the normal operations. Like if you wanted the whole kit and caboodle, just tell them Jeff 25. Otherwise, take advantage of this special where you get the DEXA scan and the red light therapy for only $99. 850-510-7728.
This is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. Investors, are you looking for a creative way to purchase your next rental property? Are you looking to get into the Airbnb space? If so, you need to know about DSCR loans. It stands for Debt Service Coverage Ratio. These are loans that do not require traditional income verification. As long as the proposed rent covers the mortgage payment on the subject property, that's the only income you need. If you're looking at investing and don't know if you can qualify, let's set up a plan to get your next income producing property and start putting you on a path to passive income. Give me a call at 954-369-6171. And don't forget, every fellow Knoll that we close a loan for, I will personally make a donation of $250 to the Battle's End. It's Shannon Young at 954-369-6171.
Equal housing NMLS number 373033.
Lawson & Lawson Electrical Services has been Tallahassee's preferred residential electrician for over 30 years. Hi, this is Rowdy Lawson, and we've earned our reputation because we care about our customers, about quality, and about providing great service. We stand by every job we do and consider it a privilege to work on a family project like a new house, a custom addition, or a green renovation. For all your residential or service projects, call the good guys, Lawson & Lawson Electrical Services, 562-4111.
We're all going through our own fitness journey. We want to get the most out of our time in the gym or with a trainer. We want to eat the right things and do the right things to be in the best shape possible. Why not find out exactly where you're at in that journey by getting a DEXA scan today? It's the most accurate measurement of all body composition methods. It is the gold standard in what is used in clinical diagnosis, the only method that can determine bone density and give a direct measurement of visceral fat. You can do so and save a bunch of money. That's why I'm here, guys. Use Jeff25 as a discount code for 25% off any of the services at DexaFit. It's not just a DEXA scan. They have red light therapy that helps accelerate wound healing, pain relief, muscle recovery, improve circulation, skin health. They'll also give you tips on personalized nutrition with weight management, fitness optimization. These are all things that you want to do to help correct imbalances. Go see our friends at DexaFit and save right now. Use code Jeff25, discount code Jeff25 for 25% off any services at DexaFit.
This is Hugh Tomlinson, president of the Tallahassee Quarterback Club. I invite you to join our historic club supporting local football since 1949. Don't miss our exciting events featuring legendary and popular football personalities. Get updates from FSU coaches, win great door prizes, and stay on top of all local football. Attend our next event featuring sports analyst and former UGA star David Pollock on October 29th. Get your tickets or join our club at TallahasseeQBClub.com. That's TallahasseeQBClub.com. Get in the game. Get in the club.
Do you have an invention idea but don't know what to do next? Call InventHelp today. We have representatives nationwide who will explain the InventHelp process step by step. Over 10,000 patents have been secured through InventHelp's patent referral services. The InventHelp databank includes thousands of companies who have agreed to review new ideas. We've been helping inventors since 1984. Let's help you next. Get started today.
Call 1-800-217-4380. That's 1-800-217-4380. Again, 1-800-217-4380.
So this new dose is, nope, that's not it. The price is nowhere to be found.
Mr. Green? Hi, it's all good. We've got this.
This is not just help from a Walgreens pharmacist.
Oh, new prescriptions. Cool. Let me check to see. These are the lowest cost options covered by your Medicare plan.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
This is someone supporting you every step of the way. Chat with a pharmacist today to find help saving. This is the human kind of help. Walgreens.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Tom writes, I see the North Texas Eagles lost a nail-biter to Memphis, 52-44 this weekend. We couldn't score 44 points on Memphis even if we had 6 games to do it. Unfortunately, I'm afraid it's time to sound the bagpipes, gents. You know, that Memphis team has given up a lot of points to a lot of people. Was it Army or Navy that dropped 60 whatever?
It was Navy.
I watched the Army kid at quarterback play this weekend. Have you seen him? He's a dude. Like this big, thick, crazy, fearless, run over you like a fullback kind of kid with a little bit of an arm. It's like, oh, okay, Army. I see ya. Well, we both love Army, so
yes,
yeah,
we do.
I was happy to see it. I'm like, all right, this kid's got some juice.
That Army-Navy game has some juice.
Oh, well, they're both ranked in the top 25. I mean, it's crazy to watch right now. It's fun. That's really cool. Yeah, I hadn't really locked in on an Army game much this year, and then I watched a little this weekend. I watched him, and I went, okay, now I know what these people are talking about. Normally, Army has a runner and a really sort of suspect thrower.
Mm-hmm. Yep, needs to be wide open by 15 yards so he can settle under it, catch the ball, and then immediately be tackled for a gain of 10 when it should be a touchdown.
Yeah, but this guy can throw with anticipation. He's got a good arm, and he's also like a fullback. He looks like Dan Kendra, just trucking bitches. It's interesting. Marcus, thank you, offering Canes Knoll to what is that? Consolement.
Consolement.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you, Marcus. Georgie, thanks for the random $1.99 thing in there.
That's a little sticker.
No, it's a sticker. Are there any assistant coaches out there that already have an interest or FSU might be looking at? Also, while being realistic, is there anyone you hope we go after? You know, the coaching community is very close-knit. And, no, you erased what I needed to read.
No, that was the last one.
You sure the 1999 one I didn't read? I read?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was what you just read just now. Coaches that you want to...
No, but the double check it. Double check it.
Trust me, man.
Okay. That's on Tom.
What?
If I screwed somebody there.
We're on fries.
Brennan writes, the bagpipes hit the transfer portal. Yeah. I did realize that UNLV's OC has a history with Mike Norvell. right? You got to remember this, okay? I will say this. So I'm trying to remember what year was it? Was it Michigan State during COVID had that great run during the COVID year. They had like an undefeated season, or maybe it was a year after, and then that coach was the flavor of the month.
Mel Tucker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted Mel Tucker. And we're like, okay. And then Mel Tucker got a bunch of money and promptly lost his job and was terrible and had some off-the-field issues. And it was like, okay, well, easy. When you have weird outlier results, is my point. It doesn't mean that coach isn't good. Doesn't mean he won't do well. Doesn't mean he won't sustain success if he's having success in the moment. But it doesn't mean he will either. And if a coach comes into a place and doesn't succeed right away, it also doesn't mean that they are destined to not succeed. Cignetti has won, as he'll point out to you, everywhere he's ever been. At Indiana, he is winning right now in a way that those people should be, in fact, over the moon. When he loses this current crop of players, let's see if Cignetti and Indiana are sustaining the kinds of success they're having this year, which is, in the history of Indiana football, an extreme outlier. This is not how Indiana plays football, virtually ever. We'll see if 2 years from now, Cignetti is the guy that we're all saying, good God, that guy is the next Nick Saban. He's winning 12 a year at Indiana. Maybe he will be, maybe he won't be. I don't know. What I don't do is make the assumption that this season is something he can replicate next season. There are OCs and DCs that we're going to fall in love with as we sit around thinking about the possibilities of Florida State making sweeping changes with a coaching staff that has failed miserably this season to the tune of the kind of outlier we're discussing. And anybody currently having success anywhere that has a tangential sort of connection to Mike somewhere in his history of living is going to be somebody that we go, what about that guy? He could kick ass. I say that because he's currently kicking ass for a team that I haven't even seen play this year. I just know the numbers say he's awesome, and we're not. So let's marry us with him. And maybe that would work. And maybe that will be the marriage. Or maybe he would come here and with a different set of personnel, fail miserably. And we'd say, why the hell did we hire that guy? He was at UNLV? Good God, man, we're Florida State. You know how the conversation would go. And maybe there's a high-profile OC or DC that everybody would want, whose history suggests he would come here and succeed immediately. And then we hire him, and immediately people would go, all right, we got that guy that, the guy everybody loves and the guy everybody had to have, and we're paying him a ton of money, and now that guy's on our team, and we're going to be good because that guy's never been bad. He could be terrible. And you'd go, what happened to the guy? Or he'd be great, and you'd go, see? That guy, we knew that guy kicked ass, and we got the guy. Good coaches get fired all the time. Coaches who have a poor record and a poor track record of success in one place go on to sometimes have great success somewhere else, and everything in between. To me, it's much more about assessing the many weaknesses within the organization and finding the guy that would help raise the level of functionality to get the most out of the operation. So if you got a guy who just, happens to know his X's and O's, and I would argue most of the people that reach this level of college football know the X's and O's. What else do they bring to the table? Are they going to improve your operation as a whole? Are you going to recruit better because of their ability to relate and connect with young men playing high school football? Do they have a track record of having extensive relationships with the most prodigious of producers of high school talent throughout the Southeast. Oh, this guy's got a working relationship with this head coach here in Nowhereville, Georgia, as well as all the coaches in Miami and also here in Louisiana where the defensive tackles come from. This he's a recruiting Jesse. All right, well, I like his resume a little bit more than this other guy's resume because this guy's resume is similar to this guy's resume, and they both seem to know the same about football, but he's got relationships where we need to have relationships. It gets incredibly complicated. It's a fun process, but it's not as simple as this OC or DC or tight ends coach or running backs coach had success here, therefore he'll have success here, or didn't have success there, and we shouldn't bring him in here. I've learned that over the years. It is occasionally as simple as that guy's a really good football coach, has won or succeeded or produced segments. If he's an offensive line coach, he's produced really good offensive lines. He's had a track record of recruiting well, molding players, and producing NFL talent. There's no evidence to suggest he wouldn't do that here. Let's go hire him. Sometimes you get lucky, and it is that simple. Sometimes it's just, we should hire Nick Saban. I think he'll do well here at Alabama. Yep, he did. It worked out. Your hunch proved right there, Rocky. It's the right move. But I would suggest that if you want to have fun and you want to get down into the weeds, into the muck of all this, follow those trees. Follow those folks out there that you'll begin to hear whispered as possible candidates. Because that is a fun game if you love college football. Like, really, because that's what I'm going to have to do and what Tom will do and what we'll all do. Those of us who care about Florida State, we're going to want to vet this pretty carefully. Mike's going to have to do that, especially so. Let's see. Do you hit the certain benchmarks and check marks of the things that we're going to need to climb out of this nightmare of a situation that Mike has created? How many of those guys are even out there that you could convince, that you could outbid other schools for, and that you can make or ensure, I was going to say make rest easy, or assure them that Mike wasn't going anywhere? Because that's a big part of it too. Like the guy that you're looking at, the DC that you want, the OC that you want, the receiver coach that you want, the offensive line coach that you want, the organizational head that you think should be brought in, whatever it might be, any guy you want to see fired under that umbrella, start putting together the candidates list and what's reasonable, what's possible. Like, hey, look, man, when Tom asked me not long ago if we were able to move on and money wasn't the issue, he never even finished the sentence, and I said Dan Lanning. Oregon's the number 1 ranked team in the country currently. I knew Dan Lanning wasn't going to leave Oregon. It was a wish. You asked for a wish list. I gave you one. He's in his 30s. He coached at Georgia. He's a badass. Bring him here. By the way, he loves Mike Norvell. I don't know if you watched the College Game Day special. It was awesome. He talked about how good a guy Mike Norvell was when his wife was sick and what Mike Norvell was able to do for him. That's an awesome story. It sounds good for Mike Norvell, too. But, unfortunately, Mike can't bring Dan Lanning in because Dan is the head coach at Oregon right now. I'd love for him to come here.
And he just turned down Alabama.
Yeah. One way or the other, I'd like him to be here. But, that's not going to happen. So start looking at these guys and try to get a sense of who they are and follow their track record and see what they did at other stops along the way. And then when you get down into it, listen, the internet exists, everybody. It's an amazing thing. It could be utilized in good ways too. That's where you can find any number of stories and write-ups and fan interaction about a coach and what he's done at his previous stops and what they liked and what they didn't like and where he succeeded and failed. And it's a fun process. You come out the other side in anticipation of these changes with some real perspective and ideas about what you'd like to see. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but you do. And I think that's true of anything. Like if you fall in love with a director of movies or musicians or whatever, you start following who were their influences? Who were they informed by? How did they arrive at the place that they are now? Why did they get there? What happened? Maybe I should explore some of those records.
I think the number one thing that I would be looking for is relations, history with the state of Florida, the Southeast recruiting footprint. I think that's one thing that most certainly this group did not have when they were brought in, and you knew it that they didn't. That they would have to do some work to forge the relationships, and they weren't allowed to for 2 calendar years because of COVID restrictions. Like, they were starting to do the circuit, they were starting to do these happy hour mixers and all those kind of stuff, ice-breaking little things like that they did, but they never could get that off the ground quickly, the way that you need to when you're a new staff. So that would be the thing that I would look for. But again, it's hard. You got to be the Zen master in the moment and say, okay, that's who they went with. Okay, let's see how it works. Here's why they chose him, but you're not going to be able to say, here comes in this new defensive coordinator. Great hire. You nailed it. It's going to be perfect. I don't know. We'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing, OC, whatever position group. I just picked defensive coordinator, but it could be OC, receivers coach, whatever. My hope is that they do have some relationships in the state, because I think what that ultimately does, because this is a debate that's coming. I know you'll probably have it on Seminole Headlines, and we talked about it at the postgame show. How much does recruiting, the skills of recruiting, still matter in the era of NIL? I think it saves you money. I think, the better you are at forging relationships, the less money you'll have to pay for NIL, and the better meetings you'll get, the more frequency of meetings that you'll get with those players to be around them, which is the most important thing, is they show up on your campus. You got to get them on your campus.
I've said this before, and I'll bring it up repeatedly, because I think there is a real misnomer out there that it's just a matter of outspending people. It's not. So you heard me talk earlier in the show. Now, I think this is applicable to the high school ranks as well. This happened to be a transfer portal reference that I was making. But the Carter Smith kid at Indiana, number 65, I believe I brought up Nick Scorton, the defensive end at Texas A&M, these were 2 guys that we were feeling good about bringing in here this offseason, right, from the portal. I can tell you those players took less money to go elsewhere than to come here. It wasn't just about money. It was about relationships forged well or not. Jeremiah Smith took less money to go to Ohio State than he was offered at several other schools. You know why? They were on him early, and his dad and he really liked those coaches.
Yeah, Heartline. Yeah.
Was in particular close to Heartline.
We were hoping that Heartline would get hired away somewhere else, and that would open the door.
But why did that matter?
Yeah.
It mattered because they were on him when he was in high school, before he was a superstar. They saw it, and they were all over it. And at the end of the day, we came really close to wrestling him away. But he took less money to go to Ohio State because of relationships.
And Miami would have thrown whatever it took, and yet it still didn't.
Miami offered the most, and
yeah.
He went because of a relationship.
Yes, I think relationships matter. These are all things that add up to you not having to spend as much money. And I'm operating as we don't have the budget on the level of the teams that we want to run down. So the less we have to spend, the better. 2 ways you can do that. 1, NFL Factory. I think that plays into the Ohio State decision
without
too.
question. It's a smart move.
It's not just
Ohio
Heartline.
State receivers are kicking ass. Yes.
Right. Miami had that reputation forever and a day. A couple decades ago, that's what they did. So it's either that reputation or relationships or a little bit of both. But all those things add together to where you're spending a little bit less on this guy, a little bit less on that guy. But the easier one to get in a dire circumstance is the relationship, because you got to prove the NFL Factory thing.
We desperately have to break, but I want to say this. I really believe the path forward for Florida State, besides the firings that will take place and the changes to his staff, which are necessary, and we'll see what he does. I think he's going to make quite a few changes. I would just overspend in the places that you're going to have to overspend, like you're talking about, on offensive line. That's it. I would throw gobs of money at 5 to 7 offensive linemen. I would guarantee you we're running the ball next year. I'd fire my offensive line coach. I'd bring in a different guy, and I would overpay for 5 to 7 of the best offensive linemen I could find.
And that way you'd have the best offensive line you've ever had.
But there would be, yes, you would. And you would run the ball, and everything else is possible after that. It's Jeff Cameron, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Pest Control Tallahassee weather report.
More dry weather and sunny skies to start off this week. Also gradually warming up this week. Highs going from the lower to mid 80s with lows in the upper 50s and 60s. Tonight, clear, low of 59. Tuesday and Wednesday, more sunshine with highs near 84 and lows near 60. More sunshine on Thursday with a high of 85. From Real Talk 93.3, this is Danielle Kelly.
For the elimination of termites, pests, and for a greener lawn too, call Paul's. They'll get them all.
Pinch a Penny Pools has 12,000 square feet of hot tubs, over 20,000 gallons of tub capacity to choose from. That's 4,620,000 cubic inches of hot tubs. But if you don't want to take my word for it, check them out yourself. Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas, locally owned, and the easiest way to find relaxation at home.
Don't miss TSC Tuesdays every Tuesday morning at 7:30 a.m. during the Greg Tish Show. Find out what's happening at Tallahassee State College every Tuesday at 7:30 a.m. on Real Talk 93.3 FM.
Get the most accurate measurement of your body composition at DexaFit Tallahassee, the gold standard for trainers and physicians around the country, and the only technology available to accurately measure bone density and visceral fat. Visit DexaFit.com to learn more.
Hey, fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Moments like hearing my cat purr good morning mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that is spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib. Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative MBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
I'll say this. For the first time since 1981, they got the executives got what they wanted. And that is a Mets-Dodgers. Sorry, Tom. I did not mean to do that. A Yankees-Dodgers World Series. And if they could sign up for that every year, they would. The two biggest media markets in the world and both coasts. You get the two most high-profile teams in all of baseball. And more importantly for baseball, you get 4 of the 5 biggest stars in all of Major League Baseball pitted against one another. Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani with the Dodgers are 2 of the 5 best players in baseball. Aaron Judge is the biggest star in baseball. Soto is a superstar in baseball. Hell, Giancarlo Stanton's a superstar. You've got stars against stars in the 2 biggest media markets, and all the stars are playing well. They're all kicking ass at the same time.
This really figures to be one hell of a series.
Oh, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it does.
For the first time since 1981, we get this World Series. I'm a fan of neither team, but admittedly, I'm a huge fan of baseball, and it's great for baseball, which is in the midst of heady times. These ratings have been huge, and I would dare argue with you, Tom, that in New York on that next Monday, for Monday Night Football, you have the Giants and Steelers, which, if it weren't the Steelers, I would guarantee you that the Dodgers-Yankees would do much better ratings than that Monday Night Football game because the Giants suck.
Yeah, it'll do better ratings in the New York, New Jersey metro area. That's for sure. The World Series will.
Yeah, but the World Series may still do better ratings.
It's doing crazy numbers.
It's doing crazy numbers. And now you have this. Now you have this.
Right. It should do in the 10s. Like, I've seen 5s and 6s and 8s.
It'll do in the 10s. It might go into the 15s, but it's going to do well. It's going to do really, really well. And stars are playing like stars again. Matt C. writes, Jeff, this is what I tell my dad when he starts on his tirades about replacing Coach Mike Norvell. I brought up this exact program. Can you say Penix Jr.?
Must have been Washington, as you were speaking on Washington.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's that. And look, Michigan is terrible right now. And they lost their quarterback in the first round of the draft. And here we go. But, well, that's because Live Spectator, the World Series doesn't start until Friday. So this is the way the schedule worked out. Now, I can argue that they didn't need to wait till Friday to play the first World Series game. You could have started it Thursday, could have started it Wednesday.
Well, if we had made a miraculous comeback, and I'd say, that's awesome. Give us all the rest in the world. The Dodgers need that rest because they've been setting up for bullpen games. So this benefits them.
Yeah, and the best part about this now is you get the two best teams in baseball with the biggest stars who are playing the best at the exact same time. They're shining in the bright lights with the two biggest franchises, the 1 and the 2 seed overall in the postseason. Baseball sabotages itself all the time, where the team that wins 102 games in the regular season and plays the best frequently gets bounced in like the first round. You go, well, grand opening, grand closing for baseball. But this time around, they got the two best teams in all the land going head to head in the two biggest markets and the most played World Series in the history of World Series. It's this one. These two teams have played each other in the World Series more than anybody else ever, and it's not close.
Yeah, it goes back to Brooklyn Yankees.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
I hear some stories about that from my pop.
Stepdad tells me that too. You used to go to those. Yeah, it's nuts. Good work out of you, sir. Appreciate all of you, and thanks so much for listening. Don't forget the Money Smash tonight. Don't forget headlines tomorrow. We'll be with you. You guys be good. Let's go Buckaroos. Till tomorrow. Peace.